3, 2, 1. Live video is starting. You are live.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. We are here. Welcome back to Fleet Connect, everyone. I'm Calais Poteet. Of course, we do this every Wednesday. We want to make sure that we're getting the culture back in order. You know, we built a culture of this community based on resources and education. And we love to, from time to time, bring on really great experts and, people that with expertise and subject matter that can definitely help our community. But tonight, I kind of want to just think about, what would you actually do if one lawsuit wiped out everything you built over the last 10 years? If you're a fleet owner, if you're a recruiter, even a dispatcher, you already know things are changing fast. AI, autonomous trucks, regulations, lawsuits, competition. But there's one thing I can promise you, the ones who win are the ones who build real systems, not just hustle harder. And tonight we're diving into something that nobody actually talks about until it's too late, and something that could actually become one of your biggest income streams if you understand how to leverage it. And I couldn't think of a better person to walk us through this than my good friend, trucking legend, Jesus Garay. $45 million earned in trucking revenue. He's a consultant, he's a master of precision. Jesus, thank you for joining us. I would love for you to just kind of introduce yourself, your background, how you got started in trucking, just to kind of give the people who are unfamiliar with you, the Spartan CEO, a little bit more insight into your world.
Clay, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate that intro. I should probably start with that silly name I got, the Spartan CEO. I'm going to tell you, I'll be brief in the whole thing, but so when I was 19 years old, I was in college prior to going in the military, and I was taking a philosophy course, and I read a book called Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, the last great Roman emperor. And ever since then, it allowed me to shape kind of a way forward on how to kind of like conduct my life, because I was kind of a lost kid. I was a super athlete. I had messed up some opportunities. I was in another college playing ball. I was about to screw that up, and I happened to come across this one book and it was extremely pivotal. And ever since then, I have had this little moniker of Spartan, right? Because they raise their kids a certain kind of way, they conduct themselves a certain kind of way. So for me, I've actually had a company, one kind of a company or another for like 14 years named Spartan. I got a Spartan Holdings. I have Spartan Roofing. I got a few companies. So anyway, the Spartan CEO, what is Spartan CEO? Spartan equals mindset, CEO equals skill set. And it's my belief, you got the right mindset and the right skill set, everything's possible. So who am I? 53 years old. I'm born in the Bronx, New York, in 1972. And if you know anything about the Boogie Down Bronx during that time, it was erratic at best. And so my mom was 16 years old when she had me. At 6 years old, we moved out of there. So she was about 22. And we moved down to Jacksonville, Florida. The north side of Jacksonville, Florida is called, it's like the Myrtle Avenue district. Moncrief, if you know anything about Duval, and so what I call that now is I call that kind of like a lateral move. So we went from the Bronx, we went straight to the hood in Jacksonville, Florida, right? But best upbringing, I swear to God, we grew up poor, we didn't have a lot, but I swear to God, I had a lot of love, played a lot of sports, I had a lot of friends, and so honestly, I didn't know I was poor until kind of like later in life. I was a big time athlete, dual sport athlete, football, basketball. I was probably one of the better point guards and DBs and wide receivers in this whole region. And I was kind of a fighter, always fighting all the time. I grew up boxing. And so that kind of got me, although I was a really good athlete and I wasn't a bad person, but I was fighting a lot. I was getting a lot of trouble. So I kind of ruined a lot of opportunities for myself early in life. So I identify with these young men. I know what they're going through. In my area, I get wrecked. Everybody sends me their kids. And so at 53, a lot of times you don't really identify with these kids, but their OGs know me. Right. So they don't know me, but the OGs know me. Like, nah, we know that, bro. We know exactly who he is. And so, but I have transformed. So I joined the Army. I finished college, got my MBA, started flipping houses. I just went crazy, man. I was so blessed to have an opportunity because a lot of my partners didn't make it. I was so blessed to have an opportunity. When I finally got my shit together, can I cuss?
If you want to, go for it.
When I finally got my stuff together, the last thing I was going to do was waste any time. All right, so I was in the Army. I deployed. I was actually stationed in Hawaii when the towers came down. It's kind of I want to tell that story real quick because I was kind of poignant. My grandfather worked at One World Trade Center for 20 years. He worked for the Port Authority for 35 years, but he worked at One World Trade Center. And so I'm in Hawaii. I was a light fighter. We had just got through training like 1 a.m. And by like 4 a.m, because we're 5 hours behind the East Coast, we got woken up. All the leaders got woken up and they brought us to the head shed. And the first tower had came down. We don't know what's going on. but the first tower. So I'm stationed in Hawaii. I'm in the field. I'm exhausted. We got our ass kicked for a whole like 24 hours. And then the first tower came down. By the time the second tower came down, we were already in the head shed in the field. And I told my boss, everybody, this is kind of a famous story. I said, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I'm going. I'm telling you right now. And so we like rushed out of the field. We dropped all our ammo. They rushed everybody out of the field. The whole entire military went 100% gate guard. The whole thing changed. Like everybody's life changed that day. And so they were asking for, hey, we need you to send us the elite. I'm not saying it for myself, but we need you to send us the best of the best. And I was in a 900-man battalion. They sent 2 people, and the other guy didn't make it. So I was the only man from my whole entire battalion that made it. 47 days after 9/11, we deployed. The whole battle, we got delayed a few times because the battlefield was changing. Everybody was scattering everywhere. And it was kind of, I don't know, how old were you during that time?
Maybe about 14, 13, maybe.
Okay, so you were in high school, and it was probably scary for you too. I was about 28, right? And so it was kind of weird. It was kind of crazy because the battlefield was changing every day. People were scattering all over the world. So we were supposed to go to Afghanistan first, but Afghanistan wasn't even open yet. We hadn't even secured the airfield. I went that early. I was so early, we didn't even have an airfield secure. Other people went early too, but I was one of the first ones in the whole world to deploy. We hadn't even gone to Bosnia. So I spent a year kicking in doors on point for the nation, hunting down bad guys, and kind of developed a knack for operations. And so then it started bleeding into other opportunities. All right, so that's my military career. Cut to the chase. I had 3 deployments before 2006. I thought I was done. I bought a house, and I was like, okay, we're good. Because Rumsfeld, if you remember who that was, he was like, oh, the war's almost over. I was like, oh, okay, I got 3 deployments, bro. I'm 3 deep already. And so I came back. I was in Oklahoma, and I was like, all right, we're good. I'm gonna go ahead and buy a house, bro. I had just redeployed. I bought a house, and I came out on orders for another deployment, and I just had my daughter. And so I really didn't. I thought I was an entrepreneur, but I wasn't a real estate investor. And I didn't want to keep this house and go to Iraq because I didn't know if I was coming back. That shit is crazy over there, bro. And I didn't want to leave my people like that. And so I was like, well, let me just put some lipstick on it and sell it. And we sold it and made 30 grand. That right there changed everything for me. That's the first time I had made 30 grand legally, right? And so I took a bunch of books and just a bunch of shit to Iraq. Everybody who's in the military know you got those trunks. I put like 30 books in there. This is 06, right? So this is 06 time frame. So YouTube, the University of YouTube wasn't even a thing, right? You had like 4 people selling online real estate courses, and I bought one of them, and I didn't even finish it, but it was amazing. And so I bought a whole bunch of shit, took it over there the whole year. I mean, we on point kicking indoors, but like I'm studying, everything I need about real estate. I come back and I just go hard. I didn't make another dime in real estate for like 2.5 years, almost 3 years. Because this was 06, 08, right? What was this? This was the great financial crisis. We had that took place. We had Dodd-Frank. Because I wasn't making money in real estate, I actually became a general contractor because my general contractor was killing me. I was actually flipping houses, and I was making like $1,500, and he's making like 40. And I was like, hold up, bro. I'm taking on all the risk, and you're making all the money. To this day, he's my OG. He taught me everything I know. So I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut some of this budget down, but I'm going to work. So I'm going to hire you. You're my general contractor on all my houses. But I'm going to work. And so I'm on the roof. I'm inside kicking. I'm knocking down drywall. I'm doing everything. And I did that for probably a steady 6-7 months. I got so interested and passionate about this, I ended up becoming a general contractor. He folded his company, came work for me. Kind of a famous story for people that was in Oklahoma at the time. That allowed me, so I became a licensed general contractor, and I was still in the military, and it allowed me to get a government contract. So I had a government contract building Army housing at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, while I was still in the military. And then it blew up. I started with 2 people. Within 4 months, we had 26 dudes on post. It was a multi-million-dollar contract. And then they found out. See, the civilian companies called Concern, they didn't know I was in the military, and the military didn't know I was doing this shit. And so, I was in my 19th year. I'm about to retire. They put me on the investigation. That's a funny story. I'll tell the story another time. But so 6-month investigation, they're trying to get me. They're trying to get your boy, man. And I beat that. I beat that charge. And then the Army wanted to celebrate me. And I was like, well, see, you look at what you just did. And this is why soldiers struggle when they get out, because when they try to go above and beyond, I'm number 1 around here. I run all this shit. And then you celebrate me in the daytime, but as soon as you found out I had a little side hustle, you started tripping, right? And so I actually didn't even go to my own retirement ceremony, which I called that a mistake when I retired from the military. And so anyway, I was flipping a bunch of houses, had a big construction company. I ended up branching off and having a roofing company. And the long story short is it snowed in Oklahoma in like late April, early May. And I was like, oh, I'm done with this shit. I'm a big time golfer. I was like, I did it all. I put in work all over the world. I was going to stay there. I had set it up to like do a really big thing out there. And I remember what happened. It was snowing and it was like May. And I was pissed because we couldn't play golf. And I was like, nah, we ain't doing this. I'm going back to the crib. And I sold everything, bro. From the time we made that decision, 60 days later, we was wheels up, coming back to Duval, coming back to Jacksonville. I had sold everything. I sold everything. And I came back again. I did it again. So I was literally about to start a trucking company there. I was marching down the road towards starting a trucking company while I was there. But because of the life change we had, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna put this on hold for now. We're gonna go back and then I'll do it again. As soon as I got back to Jacksonville, I literally got here like July 1st. I went to truck driving school. I think it was like early July. I put myself in truck driving school. And then I'll tell you the whole story. So most people don't know the whole story. I allowed a company to hire me. I graduated from truck driving school, and I allowed a certain company in Atlanta to hire me. So I jumped into the vet. I went to Atlanta. They already was tripping like, okay, this motherfucker got a custom Bedcore, man. You know what's going on here? I'm a brand new driver, and I went through all their little stuff. I was going through all their little training and all that. And honestly, they're like, hey man, where's Jesus? Because I'm over there talking to dispatch. I'm over here talking to the recruiting section. I wanted to see what a successful trucking company looked like from the inside, right? I'm running my operation, right? And honestly, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't taking advantage of them because at the time, I was actually going to go jump on a road for 2 or 3 months because I even wanted to know what that felt like. But coming into this, I went to CDL school and I had already built a couple of multi-million-dollar businesses. So it's not like I was needing to drive, wanting to drive. I was wanting to learn the industry. And then you got to do this little test like on your 4th or 5th day. They was like, all right, you graduate tomorrow. I was like, all right, man, I'm out. I drove back to Duval. Literally the next day I bought a truck. I put a driver in the truck. Worst driver I ever had in my life. He taught me so much about how to be a trucker. He was terrible. I beat his ass anyway. Oh yeah, it was a lot of shit. He put me through a lot of shit, bro. So then that was my first truck. I learned a lot with him. And within the first year I had 9 trucks. I almost went belly up. I spent almost $500,000 on insurance in my first year. Your barrier to entry in this industry is your first 3 years. Your first 3 years of insurance, they're going to get you. They're going to get you, right? And so I almost went belly up my first year. My first year I was almost done. But I was putting in the work, man, 100-hour weeks. I only had me and one more person with 9 trucks. I only had one more person. And that was like a dispatcher, this female who kind of knew the industry, but I was figuring it out myself. And so anyway, within the first year, I had 9 trucks, right? And I just kept going. And then I didn't pay myself for 2.5 years. Third year, the end of the third year, though, we did I started figuring a lot of my systems out. I'm a systems guy, right? I'm an analysis performer. I perform a lot of analysis, and I was figuring little things out. And I was also meeting people, and I started understanding that, like, if I'm going to do anything in this industry is kind of rigged against truck drivers. It's rigged against small fleets. It's rigged against like owner operators. This industry, 6 or 7 people eat before the actual truck gets to eat. And so I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do something in this industry, I got to start cutting some of these people out, right? And that's when I started figuring out who I need to talk to in order to gain my freight. And every time I cut somebody out, you're talking about 8, 10, 12, 15%. So what if you cut out like 2 people? That makes sense? That could be your whole margin. So third year, we broke even. 4th year, I had a small profit. 5th year, we did $10 million. And it just took off, right? And so I did the broker thing. And so what did that do? I'm a veteran, right? And one of the things society is always trying to solve is like, how do we get veterans to be as productive, if not more productive, once they like retire or once they get out? Not even retire, if you just do 4 years. And I was just telling your partner or whoever's helping, I was just telling her that one of the things that why veterans struggle when they get out, it's not most veterans, when they retire from the military, most of my friends, they have like 5 jobs in the first 2 years. They really hate the shit out here. They don't care about the work. They miss the camaraderie. They're not in line with the cutthroat nature of how business is. They're not just doing stuff just for the money. They want to be mission driven. They want to be purpose driven. They don't just want to be out here trying to make money. And this is why a lot of people that I know and a lot of veterans period just have so many jobs when they get out, because they're searching for something and it's not money. You can't pay somebody enough money that doesn't have a purpose, right? But because as an entrepreneur, and you know this, and most people who are probably watching this, you're actually not even making a lot of money early on. You might be generating a lot of money, but you ain't making a lot of money, right? And so the only thing that keeps you is that purpose. It could be your kids, It could be your desire to be free. Whatever your thing is what keeps you going. So what did that bring? So even back in Oklahoma, I started getting very politically involved. I tell everybody, you need to join your chamber of commerce. Almost for people, this is what we lack. I grew up poor, right? And so what poor people lack is what I call, what's the term I use for it? Poor people lack legacy benefits. We don't have legacy benefits. So like I grew up in a church. I'm Black, so I grew up in a church. I go to my church, I got great people there. Big mama, uncle this, cousin that, and they great people. But they get up and go to work and then they come back home, right? And so they taught me a lot about life, but I couldn't learn anything in my church about how to run a business. You just didn't have those kind of people, those legacy benefits in poor people's communities. But let's say you're like middle class or upper middle class, and like your uncle owned a business, or your dad has 6 friends that own businesses. Imagine being a kid or a teenager and a fly on the wall in the room where they're having those conversations. It's such a big head start. It's like such a big head start. And so this is why so many of us, first generation, we bump our head on all these things. And so anyway, I was joining the chamber. I got on the board of directors, like the second or third largest chamber in the whole country. And one of the benefits that I brought was just all my military background. This is a military town, even in Jacksonville, but Navy, but still military. All my extensive knowledge and background having business, the government contracting aspect of me being a general contractor, running a construction company. And now it took 5 years, but I just blew up this trucking company, right? And they did like a big thing. And for most, although I came with a lot of my background and the backstory behind it was pretty hefty already, I tell a lot of people, you just need to do one thing. You just need to do one thing. You know how hard it is to do like $2 million thing? Like most people will never do it. And so if you just do like a $2 million thing, I don't care if your margins are 5%. If you just do a $2 million thing, that captures people, right? And so then when what you're able to do with those people's attention is possibly lend counsel in how we're fixing some of these societal problems, in particular with poor people. So anyway, so I started joining a lot of boards. I started hosting a lot of events for city council people. I particularly was hosting, and I was so this is called information operation. I ran operations all over the world, and so I'm very intentional on how I do things. I was actually hosting, this is kind of a big deal, about 5 years ago. I remember we had a very heated city council, like it was the round for city council, everybody running for city council. I hosted a standing room only city council event for a Black Democrat who was my friend, who actually, we grew up together, played Little League together, a Black Democrat at this really kosher, like really cool bar brewery. And then the very next week, on the same day, I hosted a standing room only fundraiser for a white Republican. Because I'm in the fucking South. And a lot of times people don't know how to act. And my whole thing is these kids. I'm accountable to them. I'm not accountable to, I don't give a shit what's going on with them. I do my own, I'm free. And so I'm trying to show these kids, like, who told you if you're African American, you have to be a Democrat? Who told you if you're white, you have to be a Republican? This is part of the trick. And watch this. And I just do, and I conduct myself in a manner and how I want, because I'm free. And anybody gonna say nothing. What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? and part of that was to break up the monotony of what's going on with these kids. This was a very big deal. In the South, this was a very, very, very big freaking deal. And that garnered the attention at the national level. Like I don't want to get too heavily involved in politics, but I brought everybody to Jackson. Everybody was coming to see me, man. And then I would make myself available and them available to these kids. So like, look, this is the future, right? You literally can do you literally do whatever you want. You don't have to subscribe to a party. You're not in the party. You're not in a game. You're you. However you feel and who you kind of align your beliefs with, you can actually go do that thing, right? And it doesn't have to be so contentious. And this whole cancel thing, I was begging. I was praying on a daily basis. Please come cancel me. Please come cancel me. I'm so ready for somebody to try to come cancel me, but they knew better, right? They knew better. And so they stayed in their space and I stayed in my space. And I did a tremendous amount of damage to the psychological impact of both sides on why we're Democrats and Republicans. It's the stupidest thing ever. I'm actually a registered independent for 30 plus years. And a lot of my beliefs align with conservatism. I call myself a conservative, but I'm not far right. And many of people like I meet are left of center. And for the most part, 71% of us are left of center and right of center, but we're both attached to the center. We don't want to do that crazy shit on the right. We don't want to do that crazy shit on the left. All right. I'm just being honest. And so when you're free, this is how you speak, right? And so it's a big part of what I do. And as I train business owners, or young business owners, which is this next round of things I'm trying to do. I'm like, if you're in business, you're in politics, you don't have a choice. It's the yin and the yang, right? Now, you're just now starting to see a lot of the legislation, and what you're seeing is the tip of the iceberg. You're starting to see me participate in a lot of the legislation that affects us. You're in Florida. That HB 837 was a big deal to you and your company, right? And everybody in the state of Florida. And by being recognized as a subject matter expert, I got to go talk to 35, 40, 50 House district reps. And we actually won that bill. I can tell you about why it didn't work. We actually won that. We actually won that tort reform bill, and then it got worse. So anyway, so that's who I am. And one of the things, my latest initiative, I'm very transparent in my initiatives, is I want to launch an army of elite entrepreneurs, point blank, period. There aren't many people from where I came from in my background that have done what I've done. It's not about me, it's about the universe flowing through me. They're just not. There just aren't a lot of people that came from the hood and did like a 3-generation thing, and so all of those headaches and all. I was telling you on the phone the other day, why do I have to bump my head and you have to bump your head?
Right. Yeah.
I was already telling you some stuff about what you're going through, about, hey, you need to watch out for this and that, right? Yeah. And so that's kind of my whole philosophy on life. And we only met a couple of days ago, and look how the universe works.
Yeah. 100%, man. I appreciate that. That's definitely insightful. And you've been in the trenches. You've seen a lot. I know there's a couple of topics we wanted to kind of jump on. Nuclear verdicts kind of being that first one you touched on. HB a little bit. Why do you think so many fleet owners are operating without protection or structure? What's that biggest mistake that you see?
All right, let me. That's a great question. I need to talk to you about. There's only one case that I want to describe. I describe this one case to you. Everybody's probably gonna, if not freak out, they're gonna wake up. So I participated in a case here in the state of Florida that was what they call those $10 million nuclear verdicts. It bankrupted the trucking company. It bankrupted the insurance company. See, these nuclear verdicts are designed to send everybody bye-bye. But I'm going to tell you the details to it, and this should wake everybody up. So there's a truck at about 1 a.m. who was at an under an overpass about to make a left turn. If it's been a few years, and so the detail, I may mess one or two of the details up, but this is the gist of the story. This truck was stopped at an under an overpass about to make a left turn. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. Some kids, God rest their soul, a couple of them, it's a terrible tragedy, it's a situation. Apparently someone in that car was drinking, and they ran right into the back of that truck. And I think one, if not two, of the people perished in that accident. That's a terrible accident. This is just a terrible accident. You can feel bad for those people, and you can feel bad for the trucking company, because that guy was at the red light sitting still. He wasn't even moving. Mm-hmm. So when they got to trial, what the plaintiff's attorney, which was the family suing the trucking company and the insurance company, they pulled the ELD, which we call black box or whatever, and about an hour and 10 minutes earlier, that truck was going 7 miles over the speed limit. What happened was the truck was coming down onto an on-ramp, off an on-ramp. And for a few minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, that truck was doing like 6 or 7 miles over the speed limit. But when you do 7 miles over the speed limit, it alters where you may be in an hour. And I'm going to tell you what happened. The lawyer convinced the jury that had that truck not been speeding an hour ago, that truck was never supposed to be there. It's the fact that the truck was speeding and breaking the law, which is why the truck was there. And those kids would still be here had that truck not been speeding, because they wouldn't have ran into them because it wasn't supposed to be there. And the jury bought it. And that's what happened. That was the very first pivotal nuclear verdict in the state of Florida. And that shook everybody up. By me participating in that and talking literally with the House district reps, every attorney who's in trucking in the state of Florida was like literally in Tallahassee. We converged on Tallahassee and was there for like a month. And I'm going to tell you, I got to hear, it literally changed how I thought about trucking. I got to hear so many things about this industry, is that ever since then, I've been almost warning people. I, at the time, was a high-vis owner tied to my logo. That company said so I don't care if you know that company, because it don't matter. But one of the things I tell people is, you market the company, you never market the company to yourself. Everybody should know James O'Keefe owns so-and-so trucking. That makes sense? That's a very bad mistake. It's a very bad mistake for you to do, because what's happening, and I'm telling you firsthand, people are just finding trucking company owners, or they're finding based on your brand and your logo, and they're running into trucks. Because they know they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. They're going to figure out a way to run into these trucks. So the very first lesson out of all this is divest yourself of all your logos and all your branding. You do a great job with that, and you market the company. Tell the story about the company. If you look at my marketing now in some of my other businesses, I talk about, retirement, US Army combat vet and all, but I don't ever, you'll hardly never see me, because I'm marketing the company and I'm telling the story of who we are, what we've done, what our value system is. But I'm not reticent to tie all of those high risk, in particular for high risk company, to myself. So let that case be the case that wakes everybody up to be like, and hopefully this bleeds into a conversation about speeding and some of the things you can do about speeding. But that was the one. That was the one that was like that set precedent in law. It's all about precedent. People really don't want to deviate from precedent. And ever since then, it's been a bloodbath.
That's interesting. I know operational precision is pretty big to you. Besides that, knowing that piece of information that kind of changed your outlook, if you could go back and give your younger self in trucking one system to install early, what would that be?
So one of the things that I was doing, but it ramped up after that, is that we have, so everything in the Army is red, amber, green. And if anybody's been in the military, we use the color code red, amber, green to determine how we're doing in a particular area. So my entire weekly meeting is everything turns into a metric and is measured, and we use the red, amber, green system to measure it. All right. And we have to tell ourselves the truth. I say, hey, look, we're going to argue. We're going to have a great time. Everything that happens all week is all good. When we get in this meeting once a week, our sync meeting, it's our time to tell ourselves the truth. This is the one time that I will send you about your way if you come in here and tell me a lie. Right. And so one of the things I started doing was giving each driver what we call a risk assessment. And based on his performance, you actually can set, I had Samsara, you can actually set parameters on your ELD that will report to you the parameters that you set, and you can use those metrics. It will actually automatically spit out to you the metric. And we use the red, amber, green method to get ahead. In the Army, we call it get left to the boom. You don't want to wait to the IED. You don't want to wait to the mortar. Let's go break down that cell and get left of it on the timeline, left to right, and let's figure out what we got to do before it goes boom. It's the same thing in trucking. You got to get left of the boom. You can't wait until the accident. This driver is showing you 3 weeks in a row that he's coming in amber. He's damn near red. And if he's red, he definitely has to get pulled off the road, even at risk of losing him, which is why you have to have an ongoing and robust recruiting system. You should have somebody, you should be running an NFL draft every month. You should be trying to replace your quarterback every month, right? Because what that also does is like, hey, look, this company is such a well-run organization and operation. They're not going to have any problem replacing me. But we're so good to our drivers. We're so good to our owner operators. We also have a place that they want to stay. But if you're not going to adhere to safety standards that we set for the company, which takes care of you and your family, then we're going to have to go ahead and preemptively part with you. And we got somebody on deck. Now, one of the tools I use to help them understand how crucial that is for them, and I'm glad FMCSA and the industry is going towards putting the responsibility on the drivers and not just the company, because we got some road drivers out there too. For the most part, they're great, but we got some road guys that just want to do what they want to do. This is why these people are putting trillions of dollars into this autonomous trucking. They're trying to get rid of y'all, and I'm like, look, let's be better in the industry. So we want to have you in the cab of the truck for the next 30 or 40 years and not just be trying to kick everybody out. But I let them know, hey, do you understand that the insurance company has the data to the link in the ELD, and they're tracking you by your CDL? They're actually performing a risk assessment on you too. So if you think you're going to shit on one company and then go to another company, you're still going to be high risk to them. They're tracking you. The insurance company is tracking the individual drivers through the links and through the data that comes through the link to that individual portal on whatever ELD he has, and it's tied to a CDL. So we're not the kind of company that's going to let that happen. But if you're a company that's struggling to keep drivers or keep on, not owner, we usually owner operators are really like the most, but maybe newer drivers or people that just have a lead foot or whatever, you need to let them know this is going to reflect poorly on yourself as well, not just us. And you're going to actually struggle getting a job somewhere else because the whole industry is trying to get safer.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'd love to know where you guys are tuning in from tonight. If you're watching this, you're running a fleet, even thinking about scaling. Tonight is not just about trucking; it's about protecting your name, your legacy, and building something that actually wins, right? Actually lasts. I know you have something for our viewers. If you stick with us to the end, we're gonna let you know what Mr. Jesus has to offer at the end of this presentation. But Mr. Jesus, one more question. We talked a little bit about recruiting as well. What is, besides what we talked about, another silent killer that could potentially, you know, that in recruiting that most people kind of overlook?
Yeah. So I think that people don't, especially in particular, I'd say 5 trucks or more. You're always recruiting. You have to, and I actually gave a lot of nukes in this little really cheap little $19 course that I give, but I'm trying to establish myself. I'm trying to see if there's product market fit. I'm trying to see if people are willing to accept what I'm willing to give. But the stuff that I dropped in there, the stuff we do every day. One of the things I struggle, I don't struggle, when younger business owners come to me, they're looking for, I call it the cool guy stuff. I'm gonna give you an example. In the Army, we got something called field soldiers. Field soldiers are who you take to the field, they kick ass. You take them to Iraq, they run towards the fire. But when they get in the rear, what we call the rear, like the bases y'all see, wherever you're at, like Fort so-and-so, you're terrified for those soldiers. Those are the ones that fight in the club, they get DUI. They only want to do the cool guy stuff, right? And so what I notice about this particular generation of entrepreneurs or any newer business owner is that when they come to me, they want to do the cool guy stuff. And I'm like, I'm actually literally, most of the people that you know that are wealthy or rich, there are many situations in which you're better and stronger and more capable than them. You know what they're really good at? They're disciplined in chopping the wood in front of them. They got 3 or 4 things that they do, and they've built their entire company based on doing blocking and tackling in these 3 or 4 different things. So when I show them some of the methods that work, like we do something called a truck stop blitz every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, we have like only 2 truck stops we go to, because you can go to truck stop every day, there's different people. And we religiously go there, not for immediate payoff, for a long-term residual payoff. I have owner operators that call me or text me on a weekly basis offering me owner operators, right? Because we incentivize them. We have these little flyers. We say, hey, look, we're giving $1,000 for owner operators. If you want to come over, we pay that to you. If you want to refer somebody, we'll pay that to them. And then we'll deal with whatever ones we're going to give them on their own. Guess what? You know what they do? They keep that flyer, because all they do every time, everywhere they go, even an owner operator wants to make $1,000. All they do everywhere they go. And now what you've done is you've turned that person that you have never met until just now, but you've incentivized them by giving them you're trying to do a win-win deal with them. And so you've turned that person into like basically a 1099 recruiter, right? Everywhere, because they're going to go to another truck stop and they're going to talk to people. And guess what they're going to talk to when they go to that truck stop? A disgruntled driver or owner operator. Hey, man, I just met these people. They seem like good people. You might want to give them a call. And they send the name and data to us. And I'm going to give you a quick structure on how we do that. So when somebody onboards with us with one of our various lead gen, this is lead gen. I'm going to make sure I get back to how I pay that bonus, but this is the biggest thing that I have to try to drill into new business owners. When you're a startup, when people come from corporate America, they usually fail. It's hard for them. Usually knuckle draggers and like just hustling, like street type of shit, we win, like they win because they only have like one skill anyway. But corporate people come to entrepreneurship and they want to do all that back office stuff. They want to do all this. Oh, you gotta get this, you gotta get the files. You gotta, man, bro, you ain't even got a business yet. You got a name. Your job when you're a new CEO in any startup is lead gen. You tip of the spear, period. Go get your first 10 sales, and your first 10 sales come through hand-to-hand combat. All that shit will work itself out when you actually make $1, right? And so that I have to actually make sure they understand that the first thing I tell them to do is like, let me see your phone, because I want to see their calendar. And then I look at their calendar, if they're even keeping a calendar. If you're not keeping a calendar, I'm not sure you're actually ready for entrepreneurship. But for the most part, if you're an entrepreneur, you have a calendar on your phone. Let me see a calendar, and it's full of shit. I'm not saying you mean well, but there are no revenue generating activities on this phone. You're just doing a bunch of shit, bro. Right. And this is why you're failing. Everything you do needs to be tied to the bottom line. Especially if you're not making any money. The only thing that matters, everything else can fail. The only thing that matters is lead gen. So I wanted to talk about lead gen because in the periods in my own businesses where I saw and experienced a significant dip is when I tried to delegate that. So the best entrepreneurs keep positive control over lead gen, conversion, all that kind of stuff, and then they delegate back office. You don't have to focus on back office because you're comfortable with it. All right, so I just want to make sure I get that out. So how do we pay that? So if someone brings an owner operator to us, once we onboard them, we have to onboard them. We pay $200 to that person, the referral, and I have several referrals. That you took the course, you not took the course, you saw the course, you saw who I have several people I talked to. And so we pay $200. Then we pay $300 at the end of 30 days, and we pay $500 at the end of 90 days. You will have made so much money. And so if they don't stay that long, then you're not entitled to pay the bonus. But if they stay that long, you will have made so much money. You're basically doing out of what? Earned income. So you actually got a whole revenue generating asset, which is an owner operator or a driver, and you basically paid up for $200 for that person. That's actually a very sound business model for the business. And it's actually good revenue for the referral person because they're getting a couple of different checks. And that's actually good for them. Yeah, sometimes they forget, but we calendarize it. But sometimes they forget, like, I got this $500 check. My old boy just zelled me $500. I was, cash up me $500. I forgot about that. What does that do? What does that do? It's the Pavlov syndrome. Oh, shit. I got this dude over here, but I could make some money with this dude. And it does something to them. And so now I'll tell you on my phone in the various techniques that I just let everybody have on a weekly basis, 15, 20 people are hollering at me what you need. These are broker agents. These are owner operators. These are people in the industry that I'm trying to teach people how to bypass the middleman. And they're checking on me. You know why? Because I'm checking on them. I'm actually contributing towards your bottom line. I'm actually putting actual money in your pocket, trying to help you feed your family. And in this kind of economy, that's exactly what we need. And so that's so recruiting, it being an ongoing process and operation, you may be decentralizing and not being so. This is a people-driven organization, right? And there is a the software thing, even what you built is pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible. It's starting to be relatively incredible. I would say it needs to always be coupled with the human element. This is still a people-driven. You got drivers with flip phones, right? And so you can have the best software in the world. Yeah. That driver has a flip phone, right? And so he's probably not going to be the most tech savvy, but what he does is he's probably a solid dude and he knows some people. Yeah. Right?
Gotcha. Awesome, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I've been through a couple of the modules of the course. Maybe got 2 left. I was super impressed at what you actually blessed a lot of people who had the luxury of actually going through that. The first module, I was kind of blown away at what I received for $20. So
wow, okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah, 100%.
I wanted to make sure I provided value up front. And I appreciate that. And I'm gonna tell you why. This is great. See, entrepreneurs are not. We don't run from feedback. From feedback. I love feedback. It's actually a military thing too. But one of the things that I'm noticing about my brothers in the civilian sector, I've been out here 10 years now, is that you can't even apply constructive criticism to people. If I actually care about you, I'm gonna tighten you up. I'm not just gonna let you just out there flopping. If I'm scared to tell you anything based on how you react to it, am I your friend? I'm not sure we're friends. I should be able to tell you, hey, bro, we need to do this, because that's actually how I care about you. I'm 53. I think you're 30 something. This is what I mean by my generation, Gen X. We're the worst big homies in the history of the world because we stopped caring about these kids. And to me, you're not a kid, but you're a grown up. Yeah, I'm 20 years. My job is to look out for you, right? And so applying constructive criticism is a natural part of how you're going to grow. Somebody that actually cares about you. Now, you got some people at the end of your life is always hating on you. They ain't never saying nothing good. They always talking bullshit when you make a mistake. That's not constructive criticism. All right, so I do lives. I've been doing lives and just getting the word out. I'm talking to people. I'm dropping nukes. And there's this one owner operator that kept coming in my life. I would see he has a truck as an icon, like a blue truck. And so I would recognize him, and then he would come into live and he would participate, and it would be very fruitful. He's an active owner operator. And so he follows me, and I actually followed him. This is on TikTok. And I followed him, and I can actually, when I go on live, I announce them now. He calendarizes it or puts it on, and then he jumps in the live. And I'm like, wow, I don't even know this dude, but I appreciate your contribution to the live. So when he saw me, I do actual consulting. I've helped launch well over 100 trucking companies, and I try to do it the right way. But then when I had this silly ass video go viral like a month ago, and then everybody they was like laughing at that video, and then they saw my actual shit. I was like, oh shit, this is dude the truth. And you can Google me. I just give you my real name, just Google it, and then hurry up and put me in the box. I want you to hurry up and put me in the box I need to be in because I need you to make sure to understand that I'm not them, right?
Right.
But out here doing this shit. This dude texted me and was like, "I love this," and I thanked him so much. Hey, what are you? Is this? This is a $20 course, and he gave me he gave me the third degree over a $20 course, and I love that. He was like, "Is this going to be one of those courses where I invest into it and it unlocks another course?" And honestly, I was like, wow, I had never done that, like even participated in that. But I was like, this is the thing that's going on. I like that he's asking me that because now he's giving me, I need to tell people, hey, this is a $20 offering that I want everybody, we can go dominate the industry if you just use these principles. But I'm also testing to see if there's product market fit. Do the people want to even hear from me? Because if you do, I can probably teach you how to launch several multi-million dollar businesses and do the actual shit you say. I've actually done that shit. I did a 3-generation thing, and I'm actually from the streets, and so I'm trying to help all the regular people that don't get in the room. They're not as polished, right? We're those people who was me formerly. We get passed over. You don't get access to the best information. The people who are trying to teach you shit is bullshit. And so I'm just really trying to establish myself and cut through that and say, look, check out my background, right? And I've actually done the things I don't. And so, but I need to let the market know who I am, and I need them to vet me. This is him vetting me. I was so thankful he did that. No, we're not going to have you in some long funnel and unlock this and unlock that. The only thing I'm going to ever have when I build this platform is two things. I just started a $5 Patreon. When I build that out, that will be equivalent to a Harvard degree for regular people. It ain't I got an MBA. There ain't no MFer in any one of these schools because even the business folks don't fucking know how to do business. Gonna teach you anything close to what I'm gonna drop on you and help shape and mold how you see business, how you perform analysis, all that. And I would like to build the $5 Patreon. Not right now, but as people get to know me, I just started it. That would be if you never do nothing else. But then throughout that, and I'm gonna be dropping classes every week and all that, but then throughout that, there'll be like a big course and it'll be like 10, 15, 20 bucks. That's my commitment to people, right? That's my commitment to people is cost matters. I need to build trust with them, right? But make no mistake, this shit is legit. I have several $100 million companies that consult with me. Some of the biggest trucking companies in the country consult with me. I get to go check out their operations. And then I need to take that. Guess who never gets that? Are us, poor black people, and what? Poor white people. So I'm about poor people. I don't give a fuck what you look like. And so I get to take that information. But you know what I actually noticed, because I used to be like this too, they're the most guarded, or they're the most, because everything's a scam to those people. Because you know why? They have been getting scammed. I'm actually not mad at them for feeling like that. You should feel like that. And I actually appreciate you said that to me. So now I can come out and announce we're not going to have a funnel. Once you buy the course, I'm not emailing you 10 times trying to sell you shit. I might never talk to you again, right? But if you want to be in the community, I guarantee you're not going to get any nukes like you will anywhere else. If we could build that, the only thing I'm going to do is once I feel like people want to do it, I'll take the revenues from that and build the platform better, and I'll deliver a higher quality product. That's really all we're going to do with it. And so I was glad he checked me like that. And it was so, I'm actually going to do a post, and I asked him, can I screenshot this shit? Like 2 hours later. This is so good. I was like, this is so good. I'm not running from accountability. No, I'm not going to put you in some funnel and upsell you a whole bunch of shit. No, I'm not trying to get you into some, I'm already available. You can already consult with me. My shit's on my website. You don't have to do that. But I was so glad he told me that, because it told me how they think. And I was like, yeah, I need to meet them where they're at. Right. I don't need to be applying all these bells and whistles to try to get just let them know who I am. Let them know I'm the real deal. You can Google me. I've done this thing. I've already sold a company. We're building another one we're going to sell in the next couple of years. And I want you to be able to do that as well. I want to teach you the way of how business works in that aspect too. I was so thankful for that line of questioning. And most people would feel some kind of way if somebody said that to them.
No, that was yeah, we talked about that the other day, and I think that was very insightful on what you're putting together and how you're making it super accessible to a lot of people, man. I think a lot of people can appreciate that. Really get into the core of business. I wouldn't even tie it to trucking specifically until it's business. And that's kind of like the fundamentals, right? Of what we need to kind of understand as we build out our businesses. What are we doing this for? The market research part, why is that important, right? Everything comes off of that market research phase when you're building a business. Everything.
Did you see the Dunkin' Donuts reference I
They
did?
don't in Hawaii, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a real deal,
So
man. Right?
so yeah, that was because I was born in Hawaii, so
Oh,
that,
word? What part? What part?
yeah, Oahu.
Okay, so I was stationed there twice.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
why I still got a
Wow.
lot of family out there.
Wow.
Try
I
to get
love Hawaii.
back.
That's home.
Yeah, it is. It is home, man. It's a beautiful place. I think everybody has to see it at least one time.
Oh God. Oh God, dude. Yeah. That's home. I love Hawaii so much. I used to live on Ever Beach side, and then
Never Beach,
obviously,
yeah.
obviously, like up by Schofield. Like, oh yeah, we love Hawaii. Love Hawaii. Love Hawaii. I
Mhm.
do want you. I don't know if you're gonna pivot, but I want you to hit me on the expert witness thing. I want them to hear this.
Yeah, let's jump into that. So you're certified uh expert witness,
Yeah.
subject matter, consultant, legal expert.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. How did you get into that? How did you leverage that to be a part of everything that you have going on now?
Yeah. This thing was born out of consulting, right? Consulting is when you establish subject matter expert, you establish expertise, and then people want to hear what you have to say.
Mhm.
Initially, there's a tremendous amount of that you're going to be giving to the community by the kinds of boards and organizations you join. I actually talk about that in this course, but this is part of the issue is we don't understand leverage and leverage how to leverage information for the community. If you're a young business owner, you need to go join your chamber. Wherever we're meeting you, join your chamber of commerce. First, you're going to just be a peer. Your first 6 months, you're just going to be a peer. Don't have any ask. Establish yourself, be a peer, be a good teammate. Then you're going to find your gaps. Like, oh, wow, they actually do a lot, but they actually don't know about this. And this is what I do. Then you get to what? Participate. They're going to love to have you within the first year and two. You're on like a micro board. I was on like transportation and logistics board. And I was contributing so much to that and actually helping with all this legislation and all this stuff that was like, I actually won Small Business Leader of the Year. What do you think of the year with all these big ass companies that's been doing this shit forever in Jacksonville? Here I am. I had been doing it 5 years at a time when I won, and I became the Small Business Leader of the Year. That's a nuke. That's a boom, right? And so then you become a magnet. Then everybody wants to hear from you and talk to you. And then you get to lend, it lends towards your credibility. And then in this world, people pay for your time and expertise. That's being a consultant, which is another one of the things I got to tell people is like, stop. You need to blow that word gatekeeping up. If you bust your ass and let's just talk about my first 5 years in trucking. I didn't take a paycheck for 2.5 years. Actually, my first year was a multi-million-dollar business, and I didn't make a dime. I didn't break even for 3 years. I broke even, made a small profit in the fourth year. We did 10 million. That's a big ass thing. Everybody who heard this, if you haven't already done that, you need to figure out how to do that. What about the pain that I've caused on my family, on myself, to my personal net worth? Is that not worth anything? And I'm giving you the game on how I climbed out of that. Big ass $100 million companies want to figure out because they get so big and so bloated, they forget how to do ground component operations. And then when I come and try to teach you that, and I want to say, hey, look, I'm really busy. I'm gonna take my time. I'm an actual consultant. This is how much I charge them, but I only want to charge you this. You'll say we're gatekeeping. I'm going to tell you, you need to blow that word up. That's something poor people say to stay poor, because the only people that's going to just take out their personal time and just talk and give you all the game, they don't know. The information isn't worth that valuable. But what happens is even with this small little offering I'm giving, when you sow a seed into me and my family, ask all the people who've taken my course and got my damn cell phone number. These people blowing me up all damn day, and I just give you access. I'm not at the point where I can't even give you myself. You got my cell phone. I just met you. You reached out to me. You saw my content. You reached out to me. I give you my phone number. Let's talk. I'm a dude at the end of the day, and I saw your stuff, and I was like, this dude's trying. This dude's built. First off, he built an incredible thing. There's not a lot of people that have been able to build the kind of community you've already built. And you're still rising. I need if there's something I can do to help them, I want to help them, right? And just in the last 3 or 4 days alone, you'd be surprised how many people have just reached out to me, and I'm on the phone with them, just talking to them, just helping them out, right? Trying to see what I can do to help them, help them. And guess what? You're helping me too, right? And so that's kind of how this thing is. That's kind of how it's supposed to be. So you're providing value to me. I'm providing value to you, right? And so what I want, it's one of the poverty mindset things, and what we call people gatekeeping. Gatekeepers, the people that gatekeep, they don't know nothing. When you're dealing with an actual intellectual, you're dealing with an actual consultant, you should be trying to compensate those people. They will pour into you. I'm literally trying to give you a multi-million-dollar business model, and you just don't do anything for me. You're like, oh, he good. You can't do that. That's not a human dynamic. You should be trying to pour in seed or sow a seed into somebody's family so that, I'm like, wow, this guy believed in me so much, he poured into me. Now watch this. Now watch how I deliver these nukes on his ass and make him change his whole situation.
Right. Yeah.
And change his whole situation. Right. And so I want to make sure because see, I'm from that cloth. I grew up poor. I know all the shit we got going on. And I want to dispel, I want to break up all these little boogeyman theories we have out there. But I also recognize that there has been a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse out here, and you need to vet and know who you're talking to. Right. All right. So how do you do that? So then I did win the Small Business Leader of the Year. I became a Small Business Leader of the Week for the United States Senate. I can't tell you how many news articles and people from all over. Somebody read a news article here in Jacksonville, Florida, that was a city council person in DC. And so before you know it, I was on regular Zooms with the entire city council in the District of Columbia, which houses the White House, right? And so, and that happened a lot. And if you look in my IG and all, you'll say it's not that big of a deal. I don't care, but they're just people. But on a regular basis, every week, 15 and 20 of y'all congressmen be texting me. I have relationships with them, right? And everything I'm trying to do is trying to provide upward mobility for poor people. I grew up poor. I saw what it did in my mom. It drives people crazy. Poverty drives people crazy. While you're out here overconsumed with race, your fucking issue is poverty. That is what's actually holding you back, right? But we will. I'm not saying there's not disparities between races. Even poor white people go through shit. Poor black people. But you're overconsumed with that. And I'm like, well, you can do that. And maybe it makes you feel good for lack of production. And I'm being real. But if you just get your shit together, right? And then you control the resources, you can levy economic justice to where you want to. All I do is help poor people. Right? But it's because I'm in control of the resources now. That is where you need to be. And so then I'm just less, I'm irritated, or I'm less likely to have a whole long debate on race. I'm good with that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a divisive tool. It's a really divisive tool used to keep. This is what I always tell people: when poor black people and poor white people lock arms, this whole shit changes. This entire shit changes, right? But if they could keep sowing that seed of doubt and have you bickering amongst each other, it's gonna be, you're gonna be where you're at, right? And so I know my challenge is gonna be harder to reach the people that no one reaches to, no one courts them, no one offers to, and I literally have stepped off boards. I've actually retracted myself from a lot of the things that I have access to and can do, so that I can make myself more available to the common man and woman, because they don't have people that cater to them like that. If that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense, man.
So then I was a consultant. And then when you're in those rooms as a consultant, or when you're on a lot of these boards, guess what? You get to meet all of the local politicians. This is right now. Okay, right now, you said you're in a certain city in Orlando. You could get pissed off. Something could happen. A kid, God forbid, or anything. Somebody could just run into a store and God forbid somebody dies. And then this turns into a whole zoning thing. And you could get pissed off and run for office. And you have so much passion and you speak well, and then you dress nice, and then people look up to you and like, oh, wow. And then you're going to fuck around and win. But guess what? You get into city council, everybody, all 79,000 people in the district expect you to be an expert on everything. And then you're like, holy shit, hey, bro, I just got a logistics company. I don't know about these papers. Yeah, this is what happens. So what happens is those people are looked at as supposed to have all the answers. And this is where I say business drives politics, drives business, because they have to talk to people like us. So I get random questions from all over the country, from my city all the way to DC, and because what they're doing is they're asking, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm able to lend from a credible source. I'm able to lend them a helping hand in how to try to navigate the complex decision-making matrix in legislation, right? So that is how, by making yourself accessible, becoming an expert first. I always say bullshit to get you to the top, but it won't keep you there. You better know what the fuck you're doing. You better know what you're doing. You become an expert first, and then the market will reward you, right? And then comes the attention economy. Then you lend yourself and your time freely, and then the people start coming. Then you monetize it by becoming a consultant. And then the last kind of, I didn't even know. I'm be honest with you, I didn't know this was a thing until 5 years ago. This whole expert witness thing. I'm actually a registered expert witness with, I don't want to say, it's the largest, you can Google this, the largest personal injury law firm in the world. and they're actually out of your city. They're literally out of your city. I don't know if you know who that is. In fact, the owner of that one, I'll just say it. Well, I don't want to say it. Never mind.
That's Morgan and Morgan, right?
Yeah. He got hit by a truck.
Yeah.
Do you know that? He got hit by a truck, bro. He almost got killed by a truck. Literally, the founder of Morgan & Morgan almost got killed by it. He almost got ran over by a truck. Oh, they're really horrible. So I have like now. What was hard? I'm gonna give y'all some game. They have hundreds of attorneys. So once they saw my background, so what does your background say about you? Combat veteran, finished college, got my MBA, started multi-million businesses. That comes with a lot of credibility. So what happened was a lot of lawyers started reaching out to me, and I would wake up every morning with 65 emails because it's one law firm, they have hundreds of attorneys. And so I had to be like, oh, wow, I'm not prepared for this because I would spend all day answering emails. And so I had to pick 3 or 4 that I like and be like, hey, I need to be exclusive to you guys and not be in the portal. They'll put you in a portal and everybody has access to you. So I was like, hey, I need to not do that. I need like y'all 4. And then we just need to have steady stuff going on and not provide expert evaluations to them. I'm gonna give you some game. I do it. This is what they like about how I do it. You may do it different. So when there's a case, what I do is I read the whole case and I provide like an assessment of the case. That's a charge for that. But then the whole thing about this being an expert witness is for you to get the case to settle. You do not. You want, and I try to help the person who needs the help. I'm not trying to make money. But what happens is you want them to get the case to settle because you don't want to go, you want to get land towards arbitration or go to court or take the case to court. You don't want to do that. So my background and my credibility in my background, they see that and I become the expert witness and it's like a double whammy. Most of the people, when they see me on there, they settle. It's like, I'm not going to go to court with this guy who's a combat veteran, who served this country, who done this, who has a long line of helping poor people, and he's going to say something to the jury, and then I got to say something, and they're not going to believe me. And so, honestly, this incredible body of work that I've put together, which I'm trying to show you how to do it, is what is also valuable to them. So I was like, hey, when I'm on the case, we settle 99% of the time. We don't go to court. That's an asset to those. But how do I provide value? I'm going to give you this is my thing right here. I don't really have told nobody this. I actually told another guy who's getting into this line of work and it blew him away. So there's a case. The case has tons of information, tons of facts. It's just all kind of shit. What I do in my report, so if I write a report, right? And so one, be really good at sales and be really good at writing. I establish myself as a subject matter expert first by providing a tremendous amount of, in the first 2 or 3 paragraphs, information in where the case, this has happened before, cite case law, or at a minimum, cite the regulation it falls under. So I establish myself and I bring those up to let them know, hey, this is what we're actually talking about, right? Then in my second to third paragraph, or like in the middle of the main body of it, I pose questions about how this could have went. So what I'm doing is I'm leaving, these are open-ended, and I'm letting the opposing attorney know if we go to trial, this is what we're gonna talk about, right? No, because they got my report too. So I established myself by knowing, hey, this is what we're talking about. So I know this like you know this, but I'm actually an expert because I do this. And then we talk about the things that could happen or what they should have did. And this is mine. And I want, hopefully, if people are established enough to get into it, this is mine and mine only. I have something I just said it, complex decision-making matrix. This is actually something we use in the military. I ran operations. It's very, very detail-oriented. And so what I do is if there's an accident, God forbid somebody got hurt, I walk through the decision-making of the leader of either the trucking company or the person that did it. And I walk them through what they did versus what they should have done. Does that make sense? And so you can only do that with a tremendous amount of experience. If you haven't ran tens of thousands of loads, how would you know? Right. And so if you haven't, and so that is kind of how mine is structured. I provide, I establish myself as a subject matter expert. Then I pose open-ended questions to bring all these things into play. Hey, if we go to court, man, we're gonna talk about all this. And then I talk about the complex decision-making matrix, what they were thinking and how this happened and why they didn't deploy this resource or that safety measure versus or relative to what they should have did. I can only do that because I'm an expert in trucking because I've been running trucks for a decade. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And so that's giving you some game on how people can can establish themselves as possibly go out in the community first, establish yourself as a subject matter expert, make the community recognize you as an expert, then turn it into a consultant. Then you take that incredible body of work and then you take that and offer yourself as a expert witness.
Nice.
It's very lucrative.
Yeah, that's amazing. First time I've heard it as well too. So yeah, definitely appreciate you dropping nukes for the community, man. That's a big one. Yeah, that rang a bell for me too. I had an aha moment right then and there. Yeah, since we've met or just come into knowledge of each other, man, you've just blown me away, man. I'm inspired every time we have a conversation. It's always a pleasure, very informative.
Appreciate that.
Is there anything you want to add? I want to be respectful of your time. I know
I'm
you
good.
started
I'm
off
good. I'm good. First off, is there anything we missed? Because if there's not something to miss based on what we said we're going to talk about, if there is, bring it up now. But if not, I would then I will add something.
Okay, yeah, we talked about nuclear verdicts. We talked about a little bit about recruiting, and we definitely tied in expert witness info. So I think we covered every base.
All right, I do. There was something I remembered I wanted to say. All right, so the industry is trying to rid itself of bad drivers, right? They're trying to do that with the drug and alcohol policies, the updated ones and now enforceable ones. And they're trying to do that just almost with everything. The industry is trying to rid itself of drivers. That's an opportunity. You should probably go try to start recruiting new drivers. We lose 70% of new CDL holders in the first year. That is a gap. Entrepreneurs should fill that gap. I talk about it in the little course. All right. But here's one thing that I do that allows me so once you enter the legal field, you see everything from a lawsuit backwards. It's not, you no longer are doing stuff and then get sued. You're going to get sued. You see everything from the lawsuit backwards. So here's one little nugget that I tell people it establishes intent. So we all have this consortium, and they say, hey, you got to send me these drivers, and they got 3 weeks to come. That's the normal process. That's the kind of the bare minimum to establish a good safety protocol when it comes to drug and alcohol. What I would say is you should be doing random. So maybe you hit a driver this weekend, you can hit the same driver next weekend. It's not me against the driver. It's the company. I tell them all the time, I ain't doing this to you. I'm doing this for you. I got a lot of people to feed, bro. So anything that I do in this company is to protect all of our family. And it's a shame I got to kick your ass to feed your family. That's how I feel about it, though. I don't care. My job is to take care of everybody's family, bro. And you over here, just with your interpersonal shit. So occasionally, actually monthly, we do additional drug screening. Because I'm going to show you what that shows. So there's what I have to do according to the law. And then there's what I have to do to show the system. I care about this. I'm trying to be safe. I'm going above and beyond what the law requires me to do. And what does that do? It establishes what? Intent. So God forbid something does happen. Hey, man, I'm doing everything I can. I'm actually doing more than you tell me. And you should be taking that approach to everything. I'm actually doing more than you ask me to do because this safety is really a cornerstone of how we operate our business. I tell people with taxes too, stop trying to write everything off. Leave some, leave something on the table for the IRS. So in 7 years, when they come back and say, you didn't do this, that's going to be, I was like, yeah, but every year I leave some shit on the table, right? I don't take all, right? I leave something on the table every year. I talk about that to young entrepreneurs because they get in tax problems. It's easy to get in tax problems as a business owner. And I'm like, yeah, but don't take all your deductions. You can have some and then leave them, leave some food on the table for them and pay some taxes and show that you're actually paying some taxes so they'll leave you alone. There's too many. And so I didn't want to caveat from that. But when it comes to safety, double down on safety and preemptively deploy safety measures. Because God forbid, something's going to happen, bro. Something's going to happen and they're going to come and they're going to look you inside and out. And if you're able to show intent on that, we take this serious and our drivers and our owner operators take it serious. Look at I call it flash to bang. Look at the time we got this email versus when we were complete with all our analysis tests. Right? We're knocking them out. We're bringing them home. We're actually losing money, rerouting people, bringing them home so they can care to do this. But they can do it, depending on who you have your drug and alcohol policy, they can do it all over the country. But anyway, show intent, be proactive and preemptively strike against your safety policy, against monetary policy, against maintenance, against everything. Because what it does is establishes intent if, and God forbid, if something happens.
Got you. That brings me to another question. I do have one. Is there like a commonality or a trait that you see among your really top performing drivers or owner operators when you bring them in? And is there something that's kind of, I guess, spread out with the best drivers, you think?
Yeah. So I'm glad you said that. So again, I just told you we do a weekly, we do a risk assessment on every driver, right? And so we got owner operators that's doing 10, 10, 5, 11, and we have drivers that do 7, right? So is that owner operator or driver that does 10, is he better or she better than the $6,500 or $7,000 driver? Well, in that metric, they may be, right? And maybe this person's a little slower, but this person's extremely safe. And they're relatively pleasant to deal with. They're not needy. They actually do their pre-trips and post-trips. So they actually catch flat tires before they wake up in the morning, and then 30 minutes from the delivery. And now this takes 2.5 hours because I got to get the damn steer tire, right? So how you measure a driver as good or bad, you determine that metric for yourself. But for us, this is a business, and we have to generate revenues. But are you a good teammate? Right? Are you complying with the things that we're trying to do to feed all of our families? Not just about me and you. I get away from the personal, interpersonal, and I always talk about like the team. I'm responsible for the whole fucking team. I ain't saying just about me and you, right? And so are you a good teammate? Are you? Guess what? Every now and then I need something, bro. I need you to help me out, right? We got to go repower. Every now and then I need something, but I also overload. I actually do stuff to help them. I have so much in the bank of generosity with them that typically it's really hard to negate that. One of the little cheat codes, actually our transportation system here adopted it from me. Everybody does this, but you pay bonuses for your safety at these rest stops for safety checks. All right, and so whatever level 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and we pay like $50, $75, $125, but we allow people that their truck's right. My truck's right now. My truck's so good right now. All right, man, you want to go twice a week? Go ahead and go twice a week. But what we do is we send that money directly to them. We don't put it in a check. And I'm going to tell you why. This is how understanding your drivers, understanding the human dynamic. A lot of your older drivers, they're married. They've been on their fourth marriage because they ain't never home. It's unfortunate. I love them so much, and I hate that for them. But guess what? They're married. That check is going into that joint account. They ain't got no money. Most of your drivers are struggling on the road. But what if we set aside a card, right? Or we did like I used to, one of the things I teach young trucking company owners, you need 7 ways to pay your driver. Something's going to happen. You got to get him or her money where they're at. Walmart to Walmart, they have an app now. Western Union, you can get a gold card and get discounts, right? And so when they do, and they send us the sheets for the safety inspections, I will Cash App, Zelle, Walmart to Walmart. I'm going to give you that money now. You need that $125 now. That's going in your pocket. I ain't trying to do nothing to your family. You're already getting the check to your family, but you broke because your wife ain't giving you money. So I want to give you $125 in your pocket, and I want to do that twice a week because it costs $14 to eat at the goddamn truck stop, right? That's a thing that I'm doing. It's just a little thing that, not one, it's vastly improving my credit, my safety score. That's a good thing. But I'm doing it. This is the value proposition for him or her. Hey man, I'll do that directly to you. I want you to have that money so you're on the road, so you ain't struggling. And then because when you're struggling, you're in a bad mood. And who you talking to all day in a bad mood? You're talking to us, right? And so I do those little things, and I allow that. That's just a little. That goes a long way. It goes a long way when you're trying to preemptively take care of people. But oh, by the way, you got a really safe truck. They can't wait to go through the rest area and volunteer for those level 4s, right? Which is having a seismic impact on your FSG safety. You see what I'm saying? Right. You see what I'm saying? It's a building block towards you. This is an operation. Your whole thing's an operation. And I would just say, find little ways to take care of your drivers. They'll take care of you, man.
Solid. Oh man, drop some nukes, man. That was a jewel in itself right there. Incentivizing. Well, cool. Yeah, Mr. Jesus, do you have anything else you want to drop, man?
Okay, so I would do. You had a great question earlier. You talked about SOPs, and so when companies actually literally pay me to either come if they're relatively close, or we do a virtual, and they want me to look at their SOPs. They want to look at how they're doing business. I have some that triangulation thing I built. Everything you do in business isn't going to be the cool guy shit. I need you to understand that this is a big freaking deal. I actually built this, and now big ass companies do this. Just pay attention to that. It's a way. 99% of the new fleet owners I talk to don't have a strategy. They got a good LLC. Everybody's offering them funding. That's why I stopped doing that. I used to do that. I stopped doing that because everybody's like, hey, get your LLC, get it structured the right way, and we get you funding. Okay, then what? How you gonna run the fucking business? This is why people go belly up, because no one's taught you operations. So I focus more on operations, right? So when it comes to focusing on operations is a big deal. having a strategy on how to even operate a trucking company. You need a strategy, man. I don't care if you're doing courier operations for medical or just whatever you're doing. You need a structure and some kind of a thing that teaches you this is how you run a trucking company. You can divert based on once you try these things out, but your SLPs, 95% of the time, when they hand me their SLP, they're actually not doing the shit that this says in their SLP. Now, I'm okay with that had you updated your SLP, right? So a SLP is a living, breathing document. It's supposed to be challenged. It's supposed to be stress test. And if you find during the challenge and during the stress test, if you find a better way to do it, you should, and if the team agrees and you've put it under like a staffing review, you should adopt that new policy. But that shit should reflect in your SOP. Nobody is doing the shit they have in the SOP, if you even have an SOP. And I'm going to tell you, when you're insured, and this is one thing all these new trucking gurus don't teach you. Yeah, you're going to get through that first inspection. But at the end of that year, I'm going to tell you what happened to me. I got punched in the fucking face. So one of my insurance companies, I'll change their ass every year. I don't care. I'm going to make your ass compete. That's one person that's not my friend. Yours is providing a service. I want a really good service at a really good rate. And I'm every time this shit's up for renewal, I'm making your ass compete. All right. So this hurt. This hurt. We had a good relationship, and I was adding a lot of trucks, and sometimes you take trucks off, and it's always a constant thing, and that costs money. And but we worked really well. I really liked how we worked because they were very sympathetic to the cause and they were very available. But watch this. We exceeded. This is one thing it won't tell you. It won't tell you this. Well, I'm gonna give you two nicks. I'm gonna give you two nicks. Say I do this shit all night. Your people might. All right. The first one was you have to, when they ask you that question early on, you get this, oh, okay, well, about how many miles are you going to do? Oh, okay, well, what kind of freight do you haul? What they're doing is these insurance companies have actuaries. You know what an actuary is? An actuary is, let's say you went to like Florida State. An actuary is the smartest kid that went to Florida State. He's the smartest kid that went to Yale, or he or she's the smartest kid that went to Miami. Actuaries they make engineers look like brick masons. These kids are brilliant, right? And so what they do is they go apply a metric to your safety, your metric of risk or exposure. What they call it is exposure to an insurance company. And mine won't be the same. It can't be. It's virtually impossible. There's tens of thousands of data points that go into it to determine what's my risk to the company versus what's your risk to the company. So when you're answering all these questions, they're trying to come up with a metric of what's our exposure to the market, and then how are we going to apply that to like a compensatable rates when we still got to compete against these other insurance companies. But if something happens, we've gathered enough money, we have enough money to take care of it. So I said I was going to do one thing, and then I do what I do. I'm always gaining contracts, not contracts, I like links, I don't like contracts. And so I'm always hunting, bro. I'm always in the hunt mode. We're trying to get better and more and the best freight. So we exceeded the value of what I told them 11 months ago. So, sometimes you had that 10 and 2, you pay 10 payments, you pay down payment, pay 10 payments. Oh, your last 60 days, you don't have no payment for 2 months. That particular year was on 11 and 1. So I only had 1 month and where I didn't have an actual monthly payment. If people know, if you're in trucking, you pay the down payment and you have 11 payments and you have the 12th month off. But then guess what? You got to save for your down payment. Well, in the 11th hour of the 11th month, they came back and sent me a $69,000 bill. This is a true story. They said, based on the kind of freight you did and the kind of money you made, you exceeded the exposure that you were supposed to at the front. So you owe us an additional $69,000 in the 11th month, in where I was saving more money to pay for the next down payment for the next insurance policy. That shit hurt, bro. One of the things I teach about that. Hey, look, make sure that you're not underbidding the kind of freight you're going to do, and do like a quarterly check. Have them come to you quarterly and do an assessment on the kind of freight you've been running, the kind of money you've been making, so they don't hit you with some big ass bill at the end of the year, right? I would have only learned that till I got punched in the face. This is the value of having consultants. This is the value of you hiring and coming in and talking to, because I'm gonna make you tens of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. But if you don't, you got to hit your head too. All right, I'm gonna tell you another one. I actually post that. I got that. If you look at my Instagram, there's a trailer that's on fire. I show that shit. I'm gonna put it in my stories today. I'm gonna put it in my stories tonight. If you're on this thing, go look tonight. I'm gonna show you the trailer's on fire. All right. So great owner operator, man. Great owner operator. I had some situations where I would let owner operators dispatch themselves. His wife was a dispatcher. He came to us. I barely talk to the dude. I used to be like, hey man, is so-and-so good? I know you see when we have TVs up in the office and you can see LDs and everything running. I'm like, hey, anybody talk to so-and-so? He's so not needy, very safe, had like 20 years of driving, owner operator, beautiful truck, like kind of doing his own thing. He's sending them BOLs in on time though, so he can get paid, but kind of doing his own thing. All right, so he's doing a load of peaches out of Atlanta going south. And there's some friction on the reefer trailer. And they said he told us that people were saying, hey. He looked in his rearview mirror and he saw smoke. He immediately pulled over as fast as he could, pulled over. By the time he got out of the truck, the fucking trailer was on fire. He did have the wherewithal to disconnect the truck, pull the truck up, and he still put wood out. He put them goddamn warning triangles out. Good for him. Because that's going to let people know, hey, there's something going on. All right. So the trailer burns down. We burned that load. I burned that whole goddamn load, $100,000 load. All right. So I'm dealing with these motherfuckers for 6 months about this shit. So, but what happened was, see, I only get to tell you this so you can understand, because I got my ass kicked in this already. So now I'm coming to you with all this because I'm really out here doing this. While I was negotiating my insurance policy earlier that year, one of the things, because you're always trying to, you're always trying to get the cheapest insurance policy, but you think it's covering everything. Well, one of the things that I didn't know we took off was the tow bills. You know how much that trailer cost me to tow? $10,000. It would have been covered had I not been fighting for every little penny and actually understanding the value of me competing or trying to get these insurance companies compete with each other. And then this guy was like, oh yeah, I can do this. And he was like, I should have known better that it was kind of relatively cheaper than the rest. I was like, oh wow, okay, what you got going on? And I went with him because in trucking, it's a high revenue, low margin industry. It is what it is, right? It's a high revenue, low margin industry. I'm gonna do a class on that. I'll explain people low, medium revenue, low, medium, and high margin. All right. And so just the tow bill alone on that little thing was $10,000. Guess who never made that mistake again? I haven't. And everybody within the reach of my voice, I want you to do that. I want you to understand one of the questions when you're doing your intake or when you're interviewing your potential new insurance person. Hey, what is the towing capacity or towing? What is the limits on the towing? And give them some scenarios and make them point that out to you. I'd like to put all the major points in yellow highlight on the actual policy that we scan it into ourselves so that you know, God forbid something happens and these people come and do all this kind of stuff, that I'm not going to get like a $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 bill because I was trying to save $200 per truck per month. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, we I the first time I heard about nuclear verdicts, I was super surprised. And to realize that a lot of people in the industry really haven't even heard of the term,
Jesus,
it's super alarming.
Yeah, it's changing.
Because it's, I mean, one little thing, trucking is one of those things that can become very dangerous. And you're protecting your legacy at the same time. You're protecting your family, everything that you've worked hard for. So sometimes a lot of people do want to kind of take the cheaper route on insurance, right?
Yeah,
if they can try to save
right.
it. Yeah.
You're trying to create margin in every little aspect you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me explain something. All right.
Okay.
So 2019 was the first massively disruptive year. Like we had some disruption, and then 2019 happened. That was massively disruption. And then we got hit with the Wu-Tang Clan. All right, in 2020. And then it's been a roller coaster ever since. So I want people, this is, oh man, I'm glad I said that. So a lot of the data points that you guys or all of us are getting, I love FreightWaves. FreightWaves is one of the big homies in all of this, but all of the competing components to that provide trucking analysis, they're coming from the biggest consulting firms, Bain, McKinsey, you've heard of those. They're coming from big consulting firms that are $100 million plus. These people hire consultants go out and do all these data points, they provide these reports, and they submit these reports to the industry, and they're trying to tell the industry, this is what's going on in trucking. That's not what's happening to you. 95% of the industry is 5 trucks or less. 96% of it is 9 trucks or less. This is a small mom and pop based industry, but we don't get any data that relates to us. One of the things that everybody says, I provide small business, I provide data from our perspective, right? And not their perspective. And so this is one of the reports. I do these little white papers, they're like 1 page, and then I cite sources at the bottom, and I send them out to free to all these Congress people, and they read them, maybe hit me. I'm like, oh shit, because it counters what these big companies are telling y'all, and you're digesting their information And that shit don't apply to you. It ain't got nothing to do with you. That's a fucking $100 million publicly traded company. You're not. You got 6 trucks. You're trying to fucking get out the yard on Mondays. You got 4 flat tires. It ain't got nothing to do with you. I'm just telling you the truth. This is the ground component. This disruption that you're going through, that we're all going through, this is for people who have become experts in the industry, which is why I'm so big on you diversifying your portfolio and creating multiple streams of income. This is exactly what Travis from Uber did to taxi cabs 10, 12, 13 years ago. Mm-hmm. It was a very lucrative business to be in. And then Travis came in and disrupted the market. Why is that good? Because now anybody, any poor person, most teachers get out of work, out of teaching, and they go drive Uber. Or they do Uber Eats and all these. Look at all the spinoff businesses that have come to that. So the everyday average person, man or woman, can now go make $46 that night. That's a fucking big deal for poor people, right? What happened to transportation, what Travis and all his people did at Uber, is happening to trucking. That's what this disruption is about. You probably have, maybe you've heard that. I haven't heard it because I'm the only one that fucking says it. Mm-hmm. What the industry is going through is a decentralization of power. And this whole industry is designed to get the most amount of the benefit to a potential owner operator. You having the dream of not being publicly funded and building a 100-truck company, unless you got Russian dark money, don't fucking make me. I'll tell you. Don't make me tell you about that shit. There's a lot of dark money in trucking. Don't make me tell it. I'll fucking tell it. But I ain't gonna. This is why you can't do it. This is why they can and you can't. You ain't got dark money. You're operating on greenbacks.
Right.
They bring it over. I'm just like, I'm gonna stop. All right. So those of us that are just trying to do business, it's virtually impossible for you to have 100 trucks. Just stop. This industry is geared towards the owner operator. And good. Just like the lady that gets out from teaching 5th grade and she only making $37,000 a year and she goes drives an Uber. Good. I'm glad she gets to make the money. Most of the money has been decentralized and the power down to the truck. And I'm telling fleet owners, this is a good thing. Figure out this. When I figured that out, we don't do this again. I got more shit. When I figured that out, I went from a fleet, I owned all my trucks, to a 100% owner operator. And all I did was help people get trucks. And then you come on and actually my margin grew, right? Yeah. Because now, so anyway, so I want you to know everything you're going through isn't a bad thing. People at the truck are getting to eat more if they take some ownership and become owner operators. If you're a driver, that margin still goes to the company. I'm just letting you know. But even drivers are making pretty good money. But yeah, so this disruption we're going through is bad for fleet owners, but it's not bad for the industry because now owner operators can get out and make $300,000 a year. That's a fucking great thing. That's a great thing. So that's the kind of analysis I provide from the small business perspective, and you won't see that on none of these big ass channels because they're only getting their information from all these big time consultants. Right. No one is down here on the ground showing, teaching, and going through what we're going through underground component, and that's kind of what I try to do for the people.
Okay, yeah, we definitely have to dive into that a little bit more.
Let's go. Yeah,
you definitely got to jump back into that one. We could take that one so many different ways. I don't even know where I wanted to start. Man, let's go back to FreightWave. So the data points. Man, have you seen something that I guess, because you do your own analysis. So as far as data points from the owner operator perspective, that kind of gives us that overarching, I guess, glimpse into what that kind of looks like without having to pay attention to what's going on the corporate side as much.
Yeah.
What are those data points exactly? All
right, I'm going to tell you one. I wrote a white paper that got real famous. The administration has changed so much. I had a direct link to FMCSA, definitely a direct link to the White House. And I don't care how people feel about that. The Trump administration reaches out to me all the time. They're like, this motherfucker here got some shit, right? And they reach out to me all the time. Now, the last Trump administration did, and then it kind of fell off. They didn't do a really good handoff. I'm gonna give them credit. I'm gonna give Biden them credit for that. They didn't do a really good handoff. But I'm gonna be honest, if you can look at my page, and once Sister Kamala saw who I was, it was like, why are we should be talking to this dude? I was like, yeah, I was, and then y'all took over, and now anybody called me. All right, that's on you. But the Trump administration did it. Even now, I provide a lot of analysis for them. I'm gonna take you to one that I wrote a white paper and I dropped it on, and it fucking went nuclear. I was on Zooms with Capitol Hill every goddamn day. I'm gonna take you back to January of 2022. This was a very disruptive period. It happened to coincide with hyperinflation. All right. And so by June of that year, we were in a recession, and we've been in one ever since. and your own government couldn't even tell you that we were in a recession, even though the very legal definition of recession is 2 consecutive quarters with negative growth. We had that by June 2022. Just go look at the fucking numbers. Don't worry about me. I'm going by your definition. So we've been in a recession, but because it was an IO message, it was an information operation campaign. They didn't want to say that word because it makes you feel some kind of way. But I'd rather you tell me the truth so I know how to react to it, right? And so you're still spending money in a fucking recession. You should stop spending. And then this is a consumer-based economy. So the reason why they didn't tell you is because then you stop spending and then we don't make shit. You see how that works? All right. So $3. I'm gonna take you back to December of 21, December of that quarter, that fourth quarter of 21. I'm not sure I made it. I made a lot of that. That shit was booming, right? And so I'm going to tell you some shit that your audience might not like. They had to get Trump out of there. I'm just telling you. They was like, no, we can't have this kind of economy. Because after COVID, bro, shit was fucking banging. I'm just telling you that. I'm in this industry. I know shit was banging after that industry. And sometimes they do dumb shit too. So I don't care about that shit. But I'm going to take you back to January of 2022. $3.50 a mile. There was a report that came out that said 300,000 new carriers, single owner carriers, were filed in the month in between January 15th and February 15th of 2022. Go find this research. You can find this research on your own. When I saw that, I was like, oh, wow. We had a bunch of people either enter the industry or leave their fleets and start their own companies because they thought that we were going to be at $3.50 a mile forever. But what happened was we flooded the market with 300,000 new businesses, which is basically, let's say 10% of them had 2 trucks. Most of them just had 1 truck. Because if you can look at the filings, MCS 150, and 300,000 new people tried to enter the market. And what that did was that's a natural order of supply and demand. When all these load to truck ratios got thrown off balance, the brokers ain't got to pay no more, right? And so what happened was in February and March, the load to truck ratios were thrown off because we had 300,000 new filings. And because I try to teach people how to get direct freight, everybody just runs to the load board. It sent a message, a psychological message to the brokers that, oh, wow, we actually have more trucks now. We'll make them compete. So it rapidly went from $3.50 a mile to $2.50 a mile in about 2.5 months. But you built your business. You thought you were going to build your business when you heard $3.50 a mile. You thought that was going to be forever, right? I'm giving you real-time chronological information. And so there was all of these big time, we're talking about all this other stuff. And I wrote the white paper saying, no, just look at the data from new filings in January, February of 2022. We had 300,000 people start companies. And so all those trucks enter the market, which also created, do you remember when you couldn't get a dry van for less than $80,000? It was costing almost $100,000. Bro, I had 10 behind my office. We were doing everything trying to protect them. I know people trying to steal those shits. I had 10 behind my office that I was trying to fill. This is how I ended up selling my company. I had 10 behind my office and I was going through private equity. I was the biggest thing in the country at that point. So then when everybody hears about you, all these private equity vultures, I'm gonna fucking say it, they start coming at you. I'm gonna teach a lesson on that later when people start getting ready. All right. And so I had 10 behind my office. You know what that means? I had $1 million worth of trailers behind my office. I had $1 million just in trailers. You couldn't get a trailer. But when all of these, watch this chronologically. I wrote all this in a white paper. Chronologically, 300,000 new filings, all these owner operators entered the market. It provided scarcity on trailers, so trailer prices went up. That's a supply and demand issue. But then the rates plummeted because we had new filings and we had new people on the road, on the load boards. The rates plummeted to $2.50, $2.25, $2. Those people, everybody was trying to buy trailers for 75, 80, and 100,000. But then people started by May or June turning their trucks in because you couldn't run a business on $1.75 because we had so many people enter the market, it crashed the rates. That was a supply and demand issue, right? That had nothing to do with overseas. And so everybody started turning their trucks in, and then that trailer you just bought for $100,000, you could get them for $15,000 now because now we had. See, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Now when you go and then if you remember, around May-ish of 2022, you couldn't find a truck either. Remember those trucks was going for 200,000, 150,000.
Yeah, I wanted to buy one. I couldn't find one to save my life, man.
Bro, by May or June, you start driving to these lots, and guess what you see? 60, 70, 80 trucks at the lots, second generation trucks. Where the fuck they come from? People started turning their trucks back in. That created, it was in a 5-month period that wrecked the trucking economy. And it had to do, it started, the precipice of it was the $3.50 a mile rate. That created such a demand that people went crazy. So that's the kind of analysis I provide. I was going through the shit, right? And so we're data driven, and I'm really in tune to the market. So I'm actually writing the shit that we're living, right? And I'm actually treating that. I had an armed guard on my damn trailers. It was crazy, man. It was crazy deal. So yeah, so I actually would provide that analysis while we were going through it, and so I was regularly participating in Zooms with the administration, and they're trying to work this shit out because they're not experts. They don't know. And I'm trying to, and we're all trying to work this shit out. And so, yeah, so I'm just giving you a little snapshot of how I try to provide analysis from our perspective. I'm worried about us. I'm not worried about somebody with 6,000 trailers and in private equity and on the NASDAQ. I don't give a fuck about that. What do they got to do with us? We're struggling down here because the administration, now the consultant, this is why it's important for many people like yourself and everybody who's listening to establish yourself as a certain matter expert and insert yourself and go talk to these politicians, right? Because they make legislation and they make moves based on the large. There's only 6 families running trucking. You ever heard that? I know that there's 6 families running this whole trucking industry. But when they provide information to the administration on what they need, they make, and that really doesn't provide relief for it. It doesn't help us at all. So most of the legislation that comes out really targets us, but it doesn't benefit us. And so my thing is providing legislation that actually benefits us and not just targets us, because this is a 94-95% small mom and pop trucking industry, truck company industry. We could go on all night. I do this. You better.
So what do you think about AI and autonomous trucks right now? I know that's a big thing we just had.
So they've been doing, okay, I'm glad you said that. So shit started blowing up for me. Uber Trucking, I was one of the first ones in the country to reach out to, right? Uber Trucking reached out to me. And when they first started doing, this was 6 or 7 years ago, when they first started doing those test pilots in Texas, that triangle, they were running autonomous trucks 5-6 years ago from Dallas to San Antonio to Houston, right? They have been beta testing them. This is what people don't know. I participated in that. I took one of the very first autonomous Ubers in Vegas. We flew, I was on the board of directors. We flew to Vegas. Vegas is a sister city of ours. We got off the plane, the governor and the mayor of Vegas, the governor of Nevada and the mayor of Vegas met us on the tarmac. We had about 100 people, and we went and toured all their stuff. And we were staying in the Waldorf Astoria. When we got out of the hotel, these 2 black cars pulled up, and there was nobody in them. It was one of the very first autonomous Ubers in Vegas. All right. So currently, currently 4% of autonomous vehicles are running off the road and running into buildings. They're not ready. They're not ready, right? And so this is, again, damn, I'm glad you said that. I'm so fucking glad you said that, because I spent so much time trying to dispel. Kids are scared to get CDLs because they hear a word like autonomous trucking. And so what I have to tell them is, hey, bro, they're not telling y'all that when they're running these tests, 4% of them are running off the road and running into buildings. You can't have 4% of, this is worse than what we got now. You can't have 4 out of 100 trucks running through a stop sign and plowing into a fucking building. You can't do that. And this is on their test sites. So we're still a way away. They're getting better every day, but we're still a way away. They're always talking about these beta tests. They've been beta testing this shit, right? I was a regular participant in Uber Freight with their systems, right? Okay, do you know the whole thing where if you book a load, you could send as a carrier, you could send the broker a link, and they can click on the link and they can follow your truck, and it expires. Like, let's say your delivery is 12, you could set it to expire at 1400. My company, I did that with Samsara. So Samsara, when they first came up, they tried to get with me, and we started beta testing stuff. And I was like, you know what? This fucking industry is so old. We're still calling brokers, and brokers are calling them. What the fuck are you calling me for? It's like 2000 at that time. It's that point. It's 2018, 2019. We went into ELDs at 18, 19. So I was like, why is this industry still operating on paper and phone calls? What are we doing? It's 2000. We was operating autonomously or doing this kind of shit in Iraq in 2005. Why would I come out of the military and y'all operating in this archaic way? What if we could develop a line of code, a link that's directly in your interface, and where when you book a load with a broker, you're also providing them value, because the brokers are scarce and they call you every fucking 5 minutes. You can click on this thing and email them the link. They can click on that and it follows you, and they can monitor your truck. And then they'll only call you if something, like if they feel like they're gonna be late. So now what? It reduces calls to your office, and it increases what? Productivity for your office. Your people ain't answering the goddamn phone all the time. I did that. I helped Samsara do that, right? And so that link that you can sell to your brokers that expires like T plus 2. So let's say T is your delivery at 8 o'clock in the morning. By 10, it expires. So you're giving them 2 whole hours. And guess what? Our phones stop ringing. Then we could actually do some shit we want to do, right? And so that was a big, big freaking deal in terms of like, so it goes back to establishing yourself as a subject matter expert. You're going to get all these residual benefits from all these people trying to reach out to you. You get to beta test all this. I get to go talk about that with legislation. So let me get back to autonomous vehicles. 4% of them running off the road. No one will tell y'all that. I'm going to tell you the fucking truth. I'm regularly involved with a lot of the calls and, Zooms and all that. 2, they have like 200-mile radius. That shit's good for like drayage. It's good for like their local stuff. And we don't, and it's going to take us 20 to 25 years to retrofit the country for electric or autonomous vehicles. I have a friend of mine who got $1 billion company, and he has a contract for that. He has a contract. That's one of the biggest things they do is retrofitting old gas stations and turning them into electronic charging stations. It's going to take 20. You know how big this goddamn country is? It's going to take 20 years. So this is what I mean by big companies providing analysis and talking to the administration, and they're coming out with data points and talking points that's scaring the shit out of our population. Now, 18-year-olds don't want to get a CDL. I'm like, bro, if you're 18, you can get a CDL right now. You're going to drive for 25 years. Do you know how fucking long it's going to take for us to retrofit this country, to be able to build out enough electronic charging stations? We can't go nowhere with these trucks. They can't go nowhere. Like 200, 250 miles. You can't go nowhere. And so now you're going to have to stop more. And so where are you going to stop? There ain't nowhere to go charge. So you can't even use them. So they're scaring people for no reason. The autonomous shit is a ruse. It's not ready. And even when the truck get ready, the country's not.
Man, yeah, you see a lot of
That's another one.
Yeah, you see a lot of talk online. People get frantic. Sometimes, the Chicken Little syndrome kind of kicks in.
Yeah.
If they don't have a lot of context or just information, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big thing. If you want to cover like freight sales a little bit, I know a lot of people might not be familiar with what that even means, right? Do you want to kind of dive into that?
Yeah, I will. Not to be cheesy, but I do address it in my course. It's $19. You want to support that? It's going to help build the platform. Hopefully, by now I've shown you, hey man, this dude can probably fucking help us a lot of shit. We might want to give this guy a fucking platform. This motherfucker gonna fight back.
Where can they find you right now?
Just my social handle, Spartan CEO. If you go into I'm on IG and TikTok, and that's my social handles, the Spartan CEO. You go in there, link in bio. You can just buy the little $19 course. I give you a lot of game in that course, man. I give you 2 side hustles that do $250,000 a year. Like I actually do that shit. And that was born out of necessity. I started doing it. I remember my first 3 years or so, I started doing it because I wasn't making no fucking money. So I had to figure out how to make some money. And then I want the only thing other than that, I want you to get that game. I'm not going to email you. You're not in the funnel. If you buy that course, you never got to talk to me again. I'm good. I hope I blessed you, right? However, the only other thing I would say is if you want to, for $5 a month, join the Patreon. I'm about to start dropping some nukes in there. See, the shit that you get from them and the shit you get from me is going to be competing. I'm telling you, it's going to co-align. A lot of it does co-align, but I'm going to give you my analysis on it. Like, I'm telling you, that's what matters to them. It's not what matters to us. This is what we need to be doing, right? And actually, if you just look at my content already, I'm doing that already, showing you how it's always competing theories. It doesn't always apply to you. And you'll make a decision based on what a multi-million-dollar company is doing. And that don't apply to you. You need to be doing this shit, right? And so that's where they can find me. Freight sales. All right. So I do address this in the course, but I'll be brief here. This is an industry. This is a thing that people in trucking for 20 years don't even know about this. They've literally never heard the term freight sales. I'm going to tell you how I stumbled across it. A buddy of mine does about $100 million a year. And I was at his office because we had just played golf, and I wore his ass out, and I was driving by, and I went to go say what's up to him. And I come in there, and he's got these 2 kids in there, 20, 25 years old, good looking kids, just sharp as salespeople, right? And he's telling these kids, and they're talking, and I'm like, okay, these kids are sharp. What the fuck are they doing? What are they doing? They left. He's like, oh yeah, those are my freight sales guys. He said, man, that kid right there, that kid 21 years old, he's making about $20,000 a month. I was like, get the out of here. We're doing what? What those kids do is, one, they've worked tremendously. They're well-groomed. They take care of themselves. They're well-groomed. They're well-dressed, and they present, right? They present well. And then they've mastered the intellectual properties to the industry, and then they go beat the pavement, right? You're 2,000 cold calls away from being a millionaire. I hope y'all saw that video before. They go beat the shit out of the pavement. They cold call, they develop lead gen. It's all lead gen techniques. They make videos, they go meet people. And what they're trying to do is convince this manufacturer or this shipper on our ability to ship your shit. And when they do that, they get a penny or two or a percentage of 2 points, 3 points, and most I've heard is like 4 or 5 points off every load carried for the company, right? And so, and then on to the next. So if you know how every billionaire was made by shaving pennies. There's not a lot of margin in what a billionaire does, but what they do is they scale and they shave all the pennies. All right. So these kids will go out and get 2% of every load of the margin, not 2% of the load, 2% of the margin. So let's say you do a $300 load, and the margin for you is like $75 or whatever it is. You're going to get X amount of percentage for that margin, but you're doing 16, 17, 18 a day. You see how that compounds? And that's just one of your accounts. Then you go to here and you do another account. And then so you know what I'm going to do? I need to find those kids. Oh, that's fucking loopy. And then I go tip the kids, hey man, come here, I got some game for you, and then they start telling me how they do it. And then what they do, what these people didn't even know, they do that for several companies. So a well-structured, smart, engaging, prepared orator of a salesperson could have 1099 contracts with several trucking companies, right? And always be managing the freight and maintaining relationships with these shippers and always managing the freight and shaving pennies off of each freight. That's a big one. But what I did was I was like, oh shit, well, I could do that for my trucking company. So I would then just go take it a step further and then go actually eliminate the middleman, go meet people I need to meet. We want to haul this. This is before I had a brokerage. And so I would gain a customer, but this customer had more volume than we needed. We only had 6 or 7 trucks that ran this particular route. We had other trucks. I had owner operators all over the country. But for this particular route, I could only do like 20, 25 a week. But they needed 70 a week. So what I would do is I would take a relationship. We're going to run 1 or 2 for free, or we're going to run or 2 for cheap. Let's just show you how we communicate and how we run. You just load this $2,700. We're going to do it for $2,000. We're going to do it for $1,500. We're going to do 2 or 3 of these and show you. And through our hard work and our communication, earn your business. We don't want you to give us anything before you know it. How long do you think it is before we're doing 20, 25 a day? But we're only doing 5 or 6 a day. But then I go have a partnership with a broker, and I take them and say, hey, look, this is a freight sales agreement. You don't have this customer because you couldn't win this customer. I'm bringing this customer to you. And I want an X amount of percentage off every load you process, which means we're going to do 5 or 6 a day, but you're processing 15 to 20 a day. So the delta between X and Y, which is the 11 or 12 or 13 additional loads you're going to run a day with other trucking companies, I want a portion of that too. That makes sense? Because I brought you this freight. You couldn't do it. And I brought you this freight. It helps you to partner with an anemic brokerage. Brokerages are struggling. I'm going to tell you, this industry is cutting brokerages out. I'm on the inside. This industry is really trying to get rid of mom and pop brokerages. You better be fucking aggressive if you're going to do that. You better be highly aggressive. What I'm telling you is if you're a broker, you need to partner with a trucking company. And if you're a trucking company, you need to partner with a brokerage. You shouldn't be having standalone competing companies. You should merge technologies. You should merge and have like a common goal. And then that's the only way you're going to make it. They're going to squeeze all the small people out. And so that's a way. That's how we do it. How we structure freight sales agreements, and where I'm getting paid for the loads we do, and then I'm getting paid for every load he or she does because I brought them a customer that they didn't have. And there's other ways to do it. There's other ways to do it. You have to do that in trucking because trucking is a high revenue, low margin industry. So you have to find 5 or 6 or 7 ways to eat in this industry. And I dropped 2, and I know you saw the other ones. I dropped some other shit, CDL recruiting. I've been doing that for a long time. I'm telling you, man, that's a big one. If people understood what the gap was in that, people in trucking not doing it. I'm like, how are you in trucking? You got my boy just sold a company for $3 million. He doesn't have a CDL. He don't know how to drive shit. He saw a gap. He's an entrepreneur. He had like a shoe company 10 years ago and he sold it and made some money. He's an entrepreneur. He's always trying to find a gap. So he saw this gap in CDL recruiting. So he started a company, then he scaled it, and he got a contract with USPS, United States Postal Service. He just saw that a little over a year ago for $3 million. Do you know what the fuck he's doing right now? And then you have like an earn out, and you got no compete. He just moved to Houston and he's doing dump trucks in Houston. Like, he doesn't know, we got people, that's my boy. We play golf all the time, that's my boy. But I'm saying, like, I got I'm in this industry. I want you to do that. I want people in the industry winning and killing, and not all these other people coming out. And so you ever notice this? Like when I put up a post, I said about 2 DOTs, and everybody's like, "Oh, you can't." That's a clear sign that that person's not an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur will not use the word "you can't." Right? An entrepreneur is like, "Well, how can we? What in what manner can we do this?" Right? And you got to understand how to do it. But there's a way to do it. I wouldn't be fucking saying if you couldn't do it. Why would I say that if we're not doing it every day? All my friends are doing it, and I'm telling you, I'm giving you some game that you don't have access to. Hey, bro, you might want to get 2 DLTs. Not in a shady bullshit way. There's an actual way to do it. Just be legit, and there's an actual way to do it if you structure things the right way. But when you hear people saying you can't, you know you need to get away from people.
No, for real. Man, Mr. Jesus, what time is it? I think we went.
I don't know. I'm having fun. It's
I'm
9 o'clock.
having fun too, man. It's 9 o'clock. Okay, so you're Eastern time, I'm Central time. I wonder if we got any questions. If you're still on with us, if you have any questions, put them in the comment section. We definitely didn't get to those tonight.
I don't know how to see that in the comments.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I can't see it. Okay.
Yeah, we'll follow up afterwards and see if we got some questions. It's kind of hard on not in my office right now, so yeah. So we'll get to those questions if we, if Mr. Jesus is in the community, so
Yeah.
I'm sure you will see him as well. I'll tag you in him. I'll tag the course inside the comments as well.
Yeah, sure.
You can check that out. What do you feel about the tariffs right now? Anything about what's going on with that? I know.
Yeah.
There could be some fear in there.
So this is where you have to put your independent cap on, right? All right. So we had a Revolutionary War, and where we got off the nation or the conglomerate formerly known as Great Britain, because they're not as great anymore. And the first thing George Washington did was institute a 5% tariff on all goods. And that's how we funded our government for 71 years. Now, we had to start that way. We developed industries, manufacturing industries, right? But that's how we funded our government for the first 70 years, in addition to some bullshit and some, legit. It's a startup. There's a bunch of knuckleheads trying to start this shit. They don't know better. So now. I actually, this is one of the classes I'm gonna give. I've been doing this for a long time. But we have like a $200 billion a year deficit with Canada. Why would we have only in the 2 main imports is what? Trees and cars. We don't need either one of those for those people. But what happened was we won to such a degree to where we were just basically helping people. It's also the reason why we have 700 military bases around the country, around the world. I'm from military. I'm from retired Army. I'm not going to debate you on that shit. Y'all want to be protectionist and everybody come home. This is how we got hit them planes, because we didn't have the posture in those countries where we need to be. As soon as you start coming home, they're going to fill those gaps, right? And we're fucking done. All right. And so, but I don't do. Should we have 700? Probably 700. But all right. And so we have. You see that deal we have with Canada? We have that deal with everybody. The China thing, I don't want to just focus on China, but we got 370 million people. They got 1.6, 2 billion people. Why do we have a deficit? We should be feeding. We should be making shit for them. Why do we have a deficit with a country that has 10 times more people than we have? It doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't do a business deal and where you can't sell thing. And I used to live in Korea. Watch this. I lived there for 5 years, over 3 different times. First off, you don't see no American cars in Korea, right? One, the government provides healthcare, which we provide healthcare in America, the business owners, but the government does over there. So every time they turn a wrench on one car, that's $3,000 to $4,000 that for a Hyundai. But Ford and GM has to pay that, and they have to build that into what they call the COGS, cost of goods sold. This is why at the same style and same level of car, you can't compete with overseas cars, because their government maintains their healthcare and they don't have to flick that booger into the car. And we do. But not only that, we allow them to bring their cars here. We allow them. And now, this is why I said I want to talk about China, because I want to show you how unfair it is with our friends. Let's talk about India. India puts like a 5, 6, 2, 3, 400% tariff on our bourbon. And they got 2 billion people. We got 307 million people. What? Those people like bourbon. They drink a lot. Why can't we sell why is our bourbon $300? Because you got a tariff on it. And then you sell all your bullshit here for free or for nothing. Meaning we pay living wages. So if you made a widget, you had to pay somebody $15, $20 an hour to do that, because they're not going to show up to work in America for less than that. So you're paying $15 an hour. So your $10 widget costs you $8 to make because you got cost of goods sold. You got high rent, you got wages, you got insurance, you got taxes, you got all that shit. So your $10 widget costs you $8 to make. So you got a $2 margin, right? And you send your $10 widget to India and they put a 300% tax on it. So it costs $40. They make the same widget for $9, but only costs them $2 to build because they're paying starvation wages, right? But they sell the stuff that we sell over there to their people, but then they send the same widget to America and we don't put a tariff on it. So now the $10 thing we make, they can send it over here for $5, and this is why we buy all this shit from China because they pay starvation wages. They don't have high cost of goods sold, and we don't put tariffs on their goods. And make no mistake, the tariffs are going to hurt for a little while. But what's happening right now is we're resetting the global economy, and where we can't just be a consumer-based economy forever. And most people may not know this. I don't know how you get your news, but I know a lot of the people that's in the administration, my friends, especially like on the defense side. In the first 48 hours, 51 countries came and said we're canceling tariffs from America. Nobody heard that. I don't know why they didn't do a good job saying it either, but in the first 48 hours after Liberation Day, which was terribly marketed, it was terrible, 51 countries, so maybe China and India didn't, but 51 other countries came and said, all right, we're eliminating US tariffs. That's a fucking win. Because we can just start doing business with all those countries. All right. And so it's making progress, but it's not there yet, and it's going to hurt. And this is literally a war, right? You're literally in the first stages of a war, but we can't allow other countries to keep robbing us like this. All right, let me address the very cynical thing the media was doing. The media was talking about, oh, they got an island with penguins on it, and they put a tariff on the island with penguins. You can only do that to a population that's been purposely dumbed down. Why you have to cover those territories that aren't inhabited is because what the countries are doing now, when we place a tariff on China, this is why they built all those manufacturers in Mexico. So because we don't have the tariffs on them, so Chinese manufacturers are bringing Chinese people and working in Chinese-built countries, which means all the money and the wages and the labor is going back to China. But because they're assembling them in Mexico, we don't have a tariff on Mexico. This is how they escape. So they will do that. You ever heard of like a tax haven? Like all these islands you can put your money in? This is the same thing. So you can't just put it on the country. You have to put it on all the islands they can escape to too. It's like, all right, motherfucker, don't think that you're going to put this one building over here and then escape all these tariffs because you're routing the product through this one building. And I made no mistake. When they use Vietnam and other countries, they're not manufacturing nothing there. It's literally getting a stamp in that building and they're just rerouting it out. And then they're escaping all these tariffs and taxes. So you have to cover the areas in which aren't covered under original or previous agreements so that they don't escape to run to these tax havens. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Man, okay. That's a big one. So I know a lot of people get a little frightened and they don't really know what that means a lot of times. And
what?
Tariffs and how that might affect trucking and, the bottom line. But I know you're not a mindset coach, but I understand that mindset is super important in business, especially coming into building your business for the first time, if you're a first-time entrepreneur. What are some bulletproof tactics that you use to, keep a very healthy mindset, especially if, somebody that's just starting off that might feel discouraged?
That's right. I'm so glad you asked that. That's one of the main things. I got tons of young men that call me their mentor, and we do 4 a.m. Zooms. And the reason why we do that is because in that book I told you I read when I was 19, Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, as the Roman emperor. So basically, he's like Trump on steroids. The Roman emperor was the big dog on earth back then. This was 2,000 years ago, and he was what they call the last great Roman emperor. He wrote in his diary. See, what happened was his diary. He wrote a diary for 19 years, and he said, "Upon my death, you should burn it." But they captured it, and they saw it. It was like, "Oh wow, this guy's incredible!" And they turned it into a book. That book's called Meditations. Everybody should read that book. He talks about being the Roman emperor, saying, "Hey, is this what?" He woke up and it was cold. He was like, "Is this what life's about? Should I just be sitting here in the comfort of covers, or should I be up and be productive as the sun rises?" I read that at 19, and I've been doing the 4 a.m. armory thing ever since. I've been up at 4 a.m. So the army was really easy for me because I used to go to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so for 30 plus years, I've been doing it at 4 o'clock in the morning. So now, and what I tell people is, what's happening, what's real popular is particularly your generation and just people, period, is work-life balance, right? And first thing I tell them is like, you can have it all, bro. You can have family, but you can't have it all at once. And what you're complaining about is you're getting up at 7, you're rushing, you're jumping in traffic, you're already behind. Then you're getting home, you're running your kids to all these separate travel teams, and you're eating Popeyes, and then it's 9:30 at night. By the time you finish, get home, then you got 2 hours, you got an hour and a half, you're supposed to be asleep, but you doom scrolling, and then you go to bed, and you're like, oh, fucking work like that. Come on, man, stop. What if I convince you to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and give yourself 2 unmolested hours in which you get to pour in yourself, you get to read, you get to watch that podcast, you get to send that email, you get to do all the things you need to do towards personal development, right? So that's one. So establishing a routine in which you're getting, your kids ain't up, your wife ain't up, or if you're the wife, your husband ain't up, or whatever it is, whoever is the person trying to gain extra time to be more productive, do that thing at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? A lot of my consultations, I do it at 4 a.m. so that I can introduce them to that concept. Every time I meet a new young man, he has to meet me at 4 a.m. And if he doesn't, we ain't got shit to talk about. Because your very first lesson is the thing that I learned at 19, and look at what it's done for my life. 1,000 next. All right. So I've introduced everybody to that concept. Now, what am I going to do to build? What we're talking about is building resilience. I'm a real big on hard quests. A hard quest would be like a 5K. Let's say we're all getting older, and sometimes we get out of shape, right? Or whatever the thing is. And what you're going to do is you're going to put a hard quest on your calendar. And I need to put just one. And that thing, you look for the 5K in your area, and I don't give a fuck if you walk it. You put that on your calendar. So what's going to happen when you put something on your calendar in 60 days? It starts shaping behavior now. Now, okay, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm not going to eat that extra ice cream. I'm actually going to drink some water. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to start stretching. I'm going to start working out. What happens is you start adopting positive behavior patterns prior to this hard quest, this hard thing that you're not prepared to do right now, but you're going to ramp up to do it. And then you do one. And I don't care in what fashion or where you place. When you do one and you accomplish it, you derive a lot of self-worth and you have a sense of accomplishment, right? That elevates, that creates the confidence in yourself that, oh, wow, I did it. Now you do another one. And what happens, that thing compounds, it snowballs. And so you're in a constant state of putting hard quests on your calendar, or now go learn that second language. Go take guitar lessons, go join the jujitsu. There's a lot of things that you could do to start working on personal development. And pretty soon, all these boogeyman theories like race, rich people, this, that, all that shit starts disappearing. Because now you're a 10 times more competent human being, capable of withstanding hardships, right? Life designed to test you. And the sooner you embrace that concept, the easier it gets a fucking game. I go through shit 1,000 times harder than most of the people I know, because I take fucking big swings. I do big shit. So when the shit hits me, a lot of shit I go through, y'all gonna get jobs. I'm like, oh, I ain't doing this shit no more, right? But I'm built for that shit. And why I said, I'm glad you asked that question, because you were gonna put mindset early up in the thing, and I usually hit people with mindset later. I'm gonna give you game first, because everybody's a fucking mindset coach now. And I'm going to really blow that myth up. And I don't want to be mean. You got 22, 23, 24-year-old mindset coaches that ain't got no kids. You don't even have a kid. What are you going to, you read something in some book and you got some certification. I'm not trying to blow your hustle. I'm just saying, what is some 19 or 20 or 22-year-old mindset coach going to tell me you when you have a kid? I've been surrounded on 4 sides twice in Iraq. What the fuck are you going to tell me, bro? Right? Stop with the bullshit. 20s are for learning, your 30s are for earning. To coach somebody through mindset, you should have survived and thrived through many of trials and tribulations. Not do an e-course or ebook course on fucking line to get a certificate. Ain't got nothing to do with it. That's nothing to do with it. And I want to be very poignant in saying that for these young kids that you're rushing out and trying to put mindset in, coach, in your bio. Take that shit down. How you live your life and how you help people will determine who they're reaching out to. I'm not a fucking mindset coach, and everybody reaches out to me to figure out how I do this shit, right? This is 30, 35 years of hell and war that I've been through in order to get to this position, not a fucking 2-week ebook course. And I got a certification. We got to stop. This is what I mean by I need you to Google me. All these people Google, and then let's hurry up and get this shit out the way so I can I'm trying to help you, right? Let's get this shit out the way. There's those people, and now you have been scammed. And this is why you're asking all these questions. And I don't fucking blame you, right? Part of it is that you don't know how to do market research to tell who the fuck you should be listening to. Does that make sense? And so that's part of it. Anybody that can put a couple of words together and they look good and they wear these Gucci belts, don't fucking get me started with that shit. Now you're listening to them, right? And it's really a ruse. And I feel I'm on poor people's side. I don't give a fuck about the industry. I'm on poor people's side. Like, I feel you, bro. You're right. You have been scammed. We have been lied to. And I hate that shit, right? Because they're really trying. A lot of times, poor people are really trying. They're really trying out here, and they have no access. They have the worst access to information. It's usually it's usually passed over and passed through, and it's not authentic. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now resiliency is super important. What was well, you've always been doing it. What would you tell that person that has a hard time waking up at 4 a.m.? Like, do they just kind of cold turkey start, or do they kind of work into it?
Yeah,
Do they get to sleep earlier? Because if you
yeah.
get home at 9, you probably got the kids at home, maybe an hour to yourself, probably in bed maybe by 11. If you're not doom scrolling, still getting up at 4, how do you kind of allocate that time?
That's a great question. I would tell you how I tell them, and then I'm gonna tell you how they do it. I usually tell them, rip the band-aid off. Right? If you know what you're supposed to be doing, just rip the band-aid off. Set your alarm for 3:45, 3:55. Usually my alarm goes off at 4 o'clock every morning. I'm gonna show you my alarm. My alarm says, I'm gonna show it to you. I'm glad you asked that question. But I need to answer this in the way I would answer it during like when we do mentorship. My alarm says, oh, I got so many things. See, when I say show me your calendar, your goddamn calendar should be full, right? Your calendar, when I say show me your calendar and you don't have no revenue generating activities on them, like, what are you doing? My alarm, my first alarm says courage, justice, wisdom, and temperance. Those are the four principles of Stoicism. And it's one of the things Marcus Aurelius talked about, Stoics talked about. And if you live your life and you are applying that method to it, that's going to happen. All right. And so I say you're waking up at 6 or 7 anyway, just go to 4. Right. And you should have a required reading list. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I do. Watch this. You should have a required reading list of great concepts and things that you want to figure out. See, I am never without enough things to study. I always have my cup runneth over with things that I need to get better at. And throughout the day, I have a journey. I have this little journal in my yellow stickies, and I write things down, and that lets me know tomorrow I need to go do the research. I need to run the traps on this one, right? Additionally, I email my self shit all the time. I don't have time to read this right now, but I'm gonna read this later. Boom, I'm gonna email myself, and I have a folder in my personal email full of it. It's called required reading, and I always got shit to read. So that's one. So I have to consume information, not entertainment. I consume information that's gonna make me better. All right. So this is what I tell them. I say do that. You start with feeding yourself. Make sure the first thing of the day you're feeding yourself intellectually, physically, whatever. Then go work out, right? What happens is they'll go to like 5, right? And then they'll try to go to 4. See, I started this thing here in Jacksonville called 4 a.m. Army, and had all these businesses right after COVID. Everybody was so like, and I feel bad for them, but I was like, that was like America's first deployment in a long time. COVID wasn't really shit. I was just driving around the city, eating. I was doing whatever I wanted to, and everybody was scared, locked up. I was like, this is great. I can get a big ass city. But I got to understand, I was spending a lot of time at war, and these people just like hiding with masks on inside their car. I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck? What are you doing? But
nobody outside, right?
I had to meet them where they're at, right? And so what I tell them is rip the band-aid off and just go to 4. I'll meet you at 4. I had hundreds of business owners in Jacksonville texting each other at 4 o'clock in the morning. Do you know I do this? Okay, I'm gonna fucking post this. I text people, I text thousandaires, and I text 100 millionaires at 4 a.m. or 4:05. Now these kids, when all these kids meet me, they text me at like 3:45. They try to catch me. Bitch, I'll text your ass right back. I'm already up. My alarm I'm in my home office right now. My alarm goes off while I'm in my home office. My body wakes me up. I've been doing this shit so long. I appreciate you trying to catch me, but then I'm gonna text your ass tomorrow. I bet you sleep. Right? You try to catch me on the day, the day after I met you, and now you try to text me at 3:55, and I text you right back, and I'm good you up, but I'm gonna wait a week and I'm gonna text you, and I'm gonna see what you got going on, and then you're not gonna text me back to 7 o'clock that night. But what happens is people will try to do the 4 a.m. thing, and this is very disruptive. It's very disruptive, but they still got to get that bullshit at night, and then they crash, right? And you got to make a decision. So it's not like they did it and then they're managing the back end of the day the way they're supposed to. They do it, and it's very disruptive to them, and they crash, and one of them have to stop. And that's a very pivotal point. So what you're going to do then? No one's going to know if you got up at 4 o'clock. The only thing you're doing is you're lying to yourself, or you're letting yourself down. You're not letting nobody else down. You're letting your future self down, but you make that decision. So now take your ass to bed, right? Take your ass to bed. Every day I go to bed at 10 and I get up at like 3:45, 4 o'clock every fucking day, right? Your 6 hours is plenty of sleep. Your body will train itself to do, because when I go to sleep, right? And so your body will train itself to get what it needs to get out of 6 hours. And we got shit to do. And now, like I say, good ideas though. When I hate sometimes when I see some shit and I know tomorrow this is my required reading. Because you know what? I'm in my home office at 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't fucking sleep. I can't wait to get in and go figure this shit out. This thing I want to read. I want to figure it out. and this shit snatches me out of my sleep. And now I'm in the bed like, oh shit, let me get my ass up. Then I go to my home office and I get busy, right? Because I found there's more value in me feeding myself than doom scrolling and watching all these other people. Does that make sense?
No, I feel the same way, man. Oh man. Oh, I really appreciate your time today, Mr. Jesus. I don't want to hold you too much longer.
Yep, appreciate
We
it.
usually keep these about 20 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes. We went super
20
over.
minutes?
Typically 20 minutes. Sometimes we'll go about an hour. We
Damn.
just, we want to be respectful of people's times, but
Yeah.
yeah, we definitely gotta
We
bring.
just went 2.5 hours. So
Yeah, we definitely gotta have you back on.
I'll come back on. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta have you back on. I think this is something that I think there's way more to this that we can cover. We
Yeah.
could probably go all night. But again, it's getting late.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get to some other things that I had. But yeah, where can people find you? Let's tell them a little bit more on how to get in contact with you because I feel like a lot of people need to connect with you
Yeah.
on so many different levels. And I think that you're definitely somebody who truly cares about the people. That's my biggest thing.
Absolutely.
Anytime I bring people on is, do they actually care? You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So the Spartan CEO, all one word, on IG and TikTok. I dropped some content, I dropped data. I was getting better at delivery because I'm kind of a hard knucklehead. And so I got some feedback like, hey man, you're kind of hard, you're kind of rough. Girls will never. Well, that's what it was like. A year and a half ago, I got some feedback from a really big figure in the industry that saw one of my first podcasts. He's like, holy shit, dude. Because he Googled me and saw all my real stuff. And then he gave me some feedback. This is the guy that helped Cam Newton launch his podcast. And he's an industry figure. And so he's like, hey, man, but you're kind of rough. And so he gave me some what they call media training. And I accepted that feedback. It's just, he was like, I was like, he's right. I'm from the hood. I was in the Army. I played basketball, football. I coached football. I had a trucking company and a construction company. I'm a fucking boy, right? And a lot of people that want my help ain't gonna be understood. Now 70% of my clients are females because I've been working on my delivery, right? So sometimes take the constructive criticism. And so that's kind of what I've been doing. I try to drop a lot of analysis. I try to be, we'll be funny. We'll talk some shit every now and then. But the Spartan CEO on both platforms. In my bio, a lot of what I teach in personal consulting, which could be kind of, costly, right? It's my time is worth it. I just put it together in the same stuff we talk about for like $20. And why did I charge? Because it's also a lesson in all you young business owners. A lot of y'all will go out and buy a truck and then jump on a load board. You did not, that's not product market fit. You did not test the market to see if there's a market for your product. I'm showing you, hey, I'm testing the market at $20 to see if people see so much value in me that they'll support and buy the course. I'll take the revenues from that, then I'll build the business out. That's how you build a business. You don't go into debt 100 grand on a truck or go get this rent, this 10-year lease on this office, or go buy all this stuff and you haven't even made a sale yet. The people inside the market will give you feedback on your product. If the course is doing pretty good, if more people, I got to figure out how to get the word out. If more people will buy it because they're buying into like, oh shit, I think I believe in this dude. It will allow me to then, okay, I have product market fit. There's a few thousand people that want to do this. I'm now going to take it to the next level, right? And then build out, be more professional, start hiring people. But this is a separate business that allow me to deploy and give you all the best resources in order for you to have a good strategy in business. That's actually what I'm doing, right? And so other than that, you don't have to personally consult with me. You can, my link is in the bio. But other than that, the only other thing is a $5 monthly membership to a brand new Patreon, and where I'm gonna be dropping classes. See, what I do on is like a 1 or maybe 2 minute piece of content describing a part of business. Like I just did one on Convoy. What in business? See, so I have an MBA, right? I have an undergrad in entrepreneurship with a concentration. It's a business degree with a concentration in entrepreneurship. Then I got an MBA, and where I did a lot of my core study was in behavioral economics in business. So in every other way we learn, it's theory, practical exercise. Even in school, they push all this shit down your throat, theory, and they test you on it. That's how people learn. In business, we learn through case study. Something happened, either they won or they lost, and we reverse engineer that business. That's how we learn. So I want to bring that method to people who are saying they want to be in business or already in business, because I think they still learn their lessons the way primary education teaches it, in practical exercise. Like, no, we're going to reverse engineer what happened. Why did Kodak go out of business?
Mhm.
We want to reverse engineer what I call the complex decision-making matrix that allow them to miss this. I met the lady that was on the board on Kodak. She's actually she travels and she talks about what happened during those meetings in the boardroom, how they missed the boat, Blockbuster, all that. And so we would, but in real time, something just happened, and I'm going to reverse engineer it and teach you a quick lesson on it. Do you know how fucking helpful that'll be to put all those nuggets in your tool bag? Put all these, and now you're not even making decisions the same way. Does that make sense? When I expose you to actually how the market works, you're actually not even making decisions. You're not the same person. You're not making. It's helping you in all aspects of life. You gain awareness. You see stuff different. You look at politics different. You look at the whole world different. That's kind of the value that I want to bring to them, and I want to keep it for average everyday working man. And I just want that. I'm telling you, I want it to be a $5 a month thing so that we can generate revenues to improve the quality in this particular business. And so that's kind of what I'm doing. I want to grow an army of entrepreneurs. I feel like I'm 6 or 7 years away from being kind of done. I've done a couple of incredible things. I got a couple of things now that I'm going to sell here in the next few years, and I'm probably gonna be fucking done. So, but then I'll be 100%. See, I'm still an active business owner. Then I'll be 100% be able to do this kind of stuff. I mean, I want to raise the next generation of entrepreneurs. That's my whole thing. That legacy is raise that next generation of entrepreneurs and shit. And so that's what we're trying to do, man. Spartan CEO, we talk a lot of shit. We're gonna have some fun. If you're squeamish, you probably don't want to come over here. If you're squeamish about your politics or whatever, you probably don't want to come over here.
Yeah.
But if you can open your mind and you want to learn some shit from somebody who's actually done something, I'd love to have you.
Yeah, for sure, man. I definitely support it. Last question though, two-part question.
Yep.
If you could change anything about trucking right now, what would you change? And then also, if you had a magic wand, what would you change in the business right now?
All right. All right. Let me talk about something that people don't know. So first off, the industry is squeezing out small mom and pop brokerages, but this whole industry is mom and pop. Y'all should not want mom and pop brokerages to be squeezed out. But there's a big misinformation campaign that comes from big brokerages. See, they put these data sheets, these data points together, and they push them through the propaganda sites like your news sources and your politicians. And then everybody's mad at brokers. Let me tell you something. No one probably knows. You might have never heard this before. I said to somebody who's an industry figure, and they didn't even fucking know. So what's happening the last 5 or 6 years is these big manufacturers, these big companies, when you go compete and they award you like a lane, you got, hey, for 6 months, you're going to do this commodity. They are now telling the brokers, hey, you can only make this amount of money on each load. And oh, by the way, we're going to come audit you every 90 days. And if you're making too much money, if you're not pushing most of the money down to the truck, what are your margins? I want to make 17 to 20%. Okay, you're good. Well, I'm agreeing to your 20%. But if you don't adhere to that, we're going to take some of this money away from you. We're going to take this money back, right? And so they're going to penalize you, right? People don't know that. People just think these brokerages out here stealing all the money. A lot of brokerages are not making any money. A broker might go 2 or 3 loads and not make a dime because some shit happened. So now they did 3 loads for free, but they're still exposed for risk. Why can't they make that money back? I should better, because you think I'm making $250 on a load. I just did 3 loads for free. I would usually make 75 on this load, but now I'm trying to make some of that money back. Brokerages got it hard, and they're supposed to be experts. So one, the companies, the big manufacturers and distributors and shippers are now monitoring the books on brokers, and that's been happening for years, and no one knows this. So that's called accountability. Good. Two, I'm part owners of a couple of brokers. They now, the way they're contractually, I have a $1 billion customer that I fought with them on this contract, and it was like, fuck you. I was like, okay, I'll do it anyway. I was like, I want that word change. I want this change. I'm not. The companies now have the brokerages and the carriers on the same hook. It used to be a bypass, and where like, okay, the broker is handling this part, but if the trucking company does something stupid, we're just going to go after the trucking company. No, they'll come after both of you now. So now you have a broker that's not making any money, that's on small margins, and they're losing money on 30% of their loads. And now they're on the hook, the same as the trucking companies. So if you ask, I did all that to say this. If you're asking me what would I change in the industry, is I would change information resources. We're getting our information from bad sources. We don't actually understand the industry. Now, I think now an owner operator just heard that and they feel some kind of way about their brokerage. And depending on what he or she, what kind of freight they're carrying, they probably can have a little compassion with them now. Like, hey man, we got, all right, let me try to help these people out. We're both out here trying to run a business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
and so that's what I would say. I would change how we see the industry by having more data points and more sources in which we get information. And then two, what would I waive? I think or if I had a magic wand, what I would wave is I don't know that it's a magic wand, but I really want to stick to. I don't want to stick to the emotion. I always want to stick to the data. All right, so they're chasing a lot of what they call illegal aliens out of the country, and those people drive. So that's a gap. You want to fill the gap. I think the industry needs to go after dark money. I'm telling you, I know something. Bro, I've seen so many people. There are people from one particular country that come here, and within 5 years, they got 100 trucks. How, motherfucker? How? How? I'm telling you, there's a lot of dark money in trucking. And I know of a particular case where a person came and started, they had one truck, they got like 100 trucks, and they open up they now have a factoring company. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. I'm just saying. Guess what? That has an unequal impact on the market too. That is a market. It impacts the market as well. And so we need to I'm not the biggest in terms of, but we need to figure out a way to create more opportunities for people who are from here to grow their trucking companies. A lot of people that aren't from here come here and crush. I always say, I am mad at none of them. I love all this. I say all over the world. But people that come here do better than people that are from here. We need Americans to wake the fuck up. Wake your ass up. Right? And have someone almost have like an immigrant mentality. Come here and see this shit as one big opportunity. Stop complaining all the goddamn time.
No, that's definitely something I've noticed as well.
I probably cuss too much for your channel.
No, this is real people having real conversations, man. You know, we're in trucking. You know, I come from the driver's side, man. You know, this is a trucking channel, so
yeah.
If you haven't spent 10, 12 hours weekends in a truck in the cab,
yeah,
you know, I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, yeah, I appreciate it. I really do. I think you dropped a lot of information that we definitely needed to hear. I'm pretty sure a lot of people seeing this tonight or are going to see this in the future are definitely going to be looking at their businesses a lot differently. And, you know, that's something that we've been trying to do for a while.
Yeah.
So it's always good for them to hear from other people.
Yeah.
You know, just the reality of how to run a business for one, how to look at it from a data perspective, the fundamentals, the things that really, really matter in trying to change your life and your family's life. So
yeah. Last but not least, I appreciate that. I appreciate. I'm glad I met you, man. You're doing good things, and this is already a big play. I got a pretty big platform that's going to continue to grow, and you just continue to stay ahead of the market, man, and keep providing value for your customers or for not customers for your tribe. I am all right. So one of the things I do in consulting is this is one thing poor people we don't realize we went through. I grew up in the hood. Like I'm Black Puerto Rican, but I grew up in an all Black neighborhood. We had African American business owners, just like poor white people have like poor white people running businesses. But you know what never happens? No one ever sells their business. The kids leave, they go to college, and they think they're smart, and they go to Dallas or they go to Atlanta, and then the fucking business closes, and they lose the house. So we it's not like we've had a shortage of businesses. We don't. The wealth happens at what? Acquisition. You're carrying debt and overhead to acquisition. Let me tell you something. This is a everybody who's on the inside knows this. You're generating a lot of money. You're not making a lot of money. The wealth happens at acquisition. You go do a $2, $3, $4, $7 million thing, and then you're fucking done. You take that $1 million and put it in an instrument, and it spits out $8,000 to $10,000 a month for you. You're fucking done. All right, and then you just minimize. You become a minimalist, and then you can $10,000 a month, and then you do that like twice. Now you got $25,000 a month coming in, and your actual money's growing, and it's spitting out $25,000 a month. Shit, that's how they do it. That's how and we don't have those legacy benefits. No one fucking tells us. So we don't know how to sell a business. We don't actually, this is why I'm working on the strategy part, because you don't even know how to structure a business to posture to sell. No one's going to buy your mom and pop with your chicken scratch and your text messages. I love it. I'm glad you're eating. That's not a business. You only are in business in these times for one reason, to fucking sell it. You're not in business to just be in business and be cool with CEO next to your title. You're in business to sell it. I've sat in on hundreds, if not thousands, of pitches for funding to sell or to buy. And 99% of the people that get it wrong are from poor people's, like it's us. And that supersedes race, just poor people. Right? We don't know. We don't fucking know. So I spend a lot of time trying to help them revamp the pitch because there's a flow to it, right? It has to flow a certain kind of way. I had the deck. I cleaned up a deck that I'm gonna send to you to send out to your people for free, and it's a pitch deck. A lot of people that's listening to this are probably at there. You actually don't even know you're like 6 months away from selling your business. If you just clean it up, if you just clean up your books, you're just 6 months away. But if you enter the room, and the only people that's going to buy it are private equity, if you enter the room and you don't even know how to have the pitch deck meeting, they see a weakness in you. They're going to rob you. I'm telling you, bro. They're going to rob you. You don't even know how to pitch your own business. So I'm saying the most commonly accepted practice and way to pitch a business, I put together in a deck. It should start a thing. You should do the story this way. You should do the numbers this way. You should close this way. This is everybody knows this, and then no one who has businesses know this. We don't like normal people don't know this. And I've done a ton. So I'm gonna give that deck away for free. I'm gonna send you a pitch deck that you can send out and post it on your thing. And it's gonna be a pitch deck that everybody can just download and have it. Maybe you're 2 years away, maybe you're 6 months away. Right. And so this is one of the things that, like, hey, now, okay, you never even thought about selling your business. You know how many people I talk to in trucking, real estate, all this, and then they're not even at the acquisition. They don't have the conversation. I'm like, oh, no. You should have had that conversation before you started. You should be starting and launching in your business with acquisition in mind. There's no other reason to have a business, and do it 5 more times. And every time it's easier because now you actually have your resources and you're not borrowing as many resources. And so this will start the conversation for a lot of people. Oh shit, I can sell this 5 trucks? Yeah, you can sell it probably for $1 million. They're doing it every day. You could probably sell it for $1 million if you would just clean up your lane, clean up your back office, get your books right, show reporting, do it this way. I put my pro forma in there. Most people don't even know that word. Guess who else didn't know that word until me? I know what that word was. You're not going to sell a company without a pro forma, not a trucking company. You got to have a pro forma, right? This is like, okay, because they're going to come first invest in you. You got to still run your company for 6 months to a year. And you got to show them the glide path on what you're going to do with that money. Does that make sense? I literally put a pro forma in there for you. For 99% of people that see it, no, I'm not going to say that. I don't know. But they're going to look at it and be like, what the hell is this? But then they're going to look at it. And then when they're on break, they're going to read pro forma. Oh shit, this is the language of private equity. This is they see everything through your pro forma. They don't care what you say. They're not entrepreneurs. Me and you talking, we take thoughts and turn them into things. They don't even want to talk about that. They want to see the numbers. And so by taking that thought and turning it into a thing and then making it tell the story inside the balance sheet or inside the pro forma, that's how you get acquired. And that's where the wealth happens.
Yeah, so if you guys are watching it and you want a copy of that, I think you should definitely get it. Just drop Spartan in the comment section. I'm definitely getting my hands on that. I got to check that out for sure. I'm excited about that, actually.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it. Yeah, that's definitely a treat. Thank you. Thank
Definitely,
you.
man. Definitely. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the opportunity. I want to contribute. I'll come on monthly or whatever we got. Whatever you need, just holler at me, man. I like to do this because I know I'm reaching somebody, maybe 2 people. I don't give a damn for 2 people. I help 2 people tonight. I don't care, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate it, man. And we just getting started, bro.
Absolutely. Thank you again. I receive everything you brought to the channel, to the community. Can't wait to see you again on here. Can't wait to see you, doing more for the community as well. And I know you're going to impact a lot of lives no matter what. And that's exciting to see, man. So it's always a joy to see people doing really big things and really giving back. So thank you again.
Likewise. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Take care.
You good too.